Hans, get off the beach!
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Did you guys hear the opening at all?
Yep.
Hear it? Heard it
Yeah.
loud and clear.
Very odd. I did not hear it at all, so I was confused what was going on there. I was because the whole time like this, but no one was responsive. Okay, never mind. We're good to go. Why do we have the Evil Dead background?
I just said it feels like that kind of night.
It feels. Oh no, that's not good. I'm fine to keep it,
But
but that's not good. Dylan said it feels like
during the day is a different vibe than at night. Like
Okay.
it's that day, you know, it's nothing's bad has happened yet. It's still
Can
okay.
can you please
reading
bring Mud
weird
on
books,
screen? Can you bring Muds on screen to confirm she is alive?
I can hear her right now, so
You can just it's that type of night, and I can just see Dylan banging his head like what her name was in Evil Dead. But yes, this is episode apparently G 596. Forgot to add the GV there in the YouTube tab, but I'll fix that. But yes, 596. We're 4 away from the big 600, so that's fun times, you know. I can't remember. Kirkland shared something like a Facebook memory the other day where it's like July 2017. It was like episode 50 or something. It's like, man, it's crazy. The amount of stuff we do.
in 2017.
That would make sense if we did about one a week for the first few years, right?
Okay.
Because we did that, and then we would do the odd like random quick cast, obviously Netflix and fail, and rant rave repeat. Like those ones weren't GeekVerse episodes, so yeah, makes sense for a while before
It makes sense. I feel like anything post 100 just feels like a big soupy mess.
yes.
So 50 feels like a very long time ago, which I get, 2017. That was a long time ago.
For me, it's the past Endgame. I feel like I remember everything to Endgame, and then after Endgame, it becomes like a big. And I don't know if that's. I think it's a combo of yes, we've done a lot more episodes, a lot more content, news, and everything, but also I think it was that and COVID at the same time. So that's where it's like this time suck of like.
Did his post that he shared have was it like the YouTube version, or was there a picture at all?
I can't remember.
Was it like a basement era with the brick wall?
It was basement for sure. Yeah, and it was a terrible thumbnail that I concocted somewhere. So, yeah, no, that was the good days where we just threw PNGs on a screen and just went, this works and
always
stuff.
stretched, faces looking wonky. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know on those days. I remember arguing with Ruben for like half an hour over a thumbnail. I'm like, no, I like this better. But I don't understand. I'm like, yeah, I just like this better. And then I let him go.
Never really seen again.
Yeah, no, not let him go like fired him. I meant like I let him do the thumbnail and everything like that. Eventually he got too busy, and then Taylor took over, and we're all aces there. Taylor, great thumbnails. A little late every once in a while. I don't know last time he had a thumbnail on time, but that's okay. We're a lot busier. But
for me,
I got one cooking right now. But yeah, Dylan always gets them usually on time. I'd say like success rate is like 75%, maybe.
Good.
But what is the difference from Dylan doing SideQuest to us doing newscasts? Because like when do you get home?
You don't drop the news until you drop it before the cast, but I didn't get home until about 6:35 today.
Okay, and that's fair. That's why. Life
Usually
changes.
Dylan will he puts things in the spreadsheet, and then he'll drop me that reminder like a couple days before, so he gives me time.
Yeah, I gave up after that started, and I was bad. And you're like, oh, Dylan does it all the time. And then I'm like, hey, I'll do it. And then you missed like 3, and I was like, okay, I've given up on the spreadsheet.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Taylor, where can they find us on the interwebs? We got lots of stuff dropping. We got you tell us where you find, then I'll say what's dropping.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can find us in the Interconnection in the search bar. GeekVerse.ca is our home base. GeekVerseCast is our Twitter, and GeekVerse is our Facebook.
That's it. Okay, I was just
That's
trying
it?
to get that
more?
link
Can
out
buy
there.
more time.
How you doing, Taylor? How's your night? How's your week going? Stuff like that. Well, I get the link out there. That's what I'm trying to do.
Week, it's going good. I was alluding to off cast, got a Dyson, just sucking up those little microscopic bastards. Fucking love it.
Right.
Yeah, so that's pretty much the highlight right now. It's like Christmas in January for us right now. What about you, Dylan?
What kind of week has it been? It's been a fine
Evil Dead week.
Evil Dead week.
Yesterday, I had
See,
a
bad
very-
vibes.
Yesterday was just a day of annoying thing after annoying thing. So today definitely felt like an upswing, even though nothing particularly interesting happened. So I'm doing okay. Not my finest week, but I really don't have much to complain about. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm at.
Yeah, no, I'm ready for the week to be over already. Luckily, it's Thursday tomorrow, but it's just work. There's a lot of sick calls, so today very understaffed. So just one of those days where it's just like it's pedal to the metal. There's very little breaks and stuff. Dealing with a lot of people that maybe not the best trained at their job. I feel like around this time there's a lot of new hires. So, and I don't put it on them. I think where my job is, it's a lot of people that are. I feel like I feel like how I got trained is not how it is nowadays. And I've only been there 3 to 4 years, but I just feel like there's a lot of people when I talk to them. I go like, do you know this? Do you know this? Do you know this? And I know none of this. I'm like, I felt like I knew that in the first 6 months. So it's very odd, and it makes my job a lot harder when you're dealing with a lot of
Flex
people.
that on them.
No, I never say that. I ask nice. I'm never try to get confrontational except for today a little bit. Some person told me to do something that I literally couldn't do. Like, you got to buy me this thing. I'm like,
dad, was it?
yeah, no. Dylan's dad. I haven't seen him at work in a bit, but he's cool as a cucumber. He keeps
Did
to
he
himself.
get fired and I didn't know about it?
No, we're different departments now. That's
Yeah.
no, we're different. So we just don't see each other. No, he's one of the easiest people to work with, so I don't got to worry about that. But yeah, so I'm ready for the weekend and stuff. So. But yeah, we're doing some news this week. We got lots of stuff. Patrons, patrons, you could begin this stuff early, but right now we just dropped the movie 2024 preview. Soon the draft and other things will be dropping. But there's lots of good things on patrons. Just head over there. Right now you can vote because a week from this Saturday we're doing our next After 9 movie night. We're doing it a little earlier. I know we did one in December, but we're doing one right now because summer's busy and I thought this would be a good one. So in honor of Madam Web, you patrons get to vote between Spider-Man 3, Morbius, Venom Let There Be Carnage, or Amazing Spider-Man 2, and that's gonna be the next movie night. We're all gonna pull up, watch some Spy together. I on purpose chose like the more like we've done Spider-Man 1 commentary track, and I chose kind of the lesser quality ones because I felt like that kind of matched with Madam Web. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it won't match with that. Maybe it's great. But yeah, so we're gonna be doing that. So you want to jump on Patreon to vote, to join that. Golden Geeks votes are coming out soon. The DCU one we're gonna punt to next week because as you can see, Kirkland is not here. Man lied last week. He's like, oh yeah, no problem. I even asked him. I'm like, we can delay all this stuff, because I'm a planner. I like to get ahead of the game. So I'm like, oh, we can delay this stuff if you got exams. Oh no, it'll be fine. Like 2 hours before, oh, not gonna make it. So other
I
things.
the
do seem
benefit.
to recall him saying, "Let me get back to you on Tuesday." Tuesday being yesterday in this timeline.
Right? And today's Wednesday. So Tuesday.
He didn't tell you about the DC thing until today, is what you're saying.
No, the DC thing we punted because of news. So I'm lying there. So, but fair. The bread and butter, that's probably not happening this week.
You know what they say? Where there's a half-lie, there's a full lie somewhere deeper.
No,
so-
it's just no, there's not a full lie.
I don't even know.
That sounds like a very like Nathan for you quote or something like that.
That sounds like a line from Madam Web. Speaking of that movie,
exactly, yeah. So either way, lots of good stuff popping off. We just did the direct developer direct story a couple days ago. Us three, it's a lot of us three, So yeah, lots of good stuff. Talking about indie over there. Yeah, there. In my mind is a shot. Today was like a long day, so that's why I'm just happy to get into some news and just have some fun. So let's talk about, we got a range of different topics. So we got some like bigger stuff that I'm bringing, but we end up doing a newscast instead of the DCU Golden Geeks, which like I said, will be happening soon. Just because like we haven't done a newscast, I think about 2.5-ish weeks or something. Thought, we'll talk about it and everything. So this is something that broke just like an hour and a half ago or something. This wasn't even our original news, but all these stuff, at least there's like two portions. The first half of the show is all like the C+ tier rumors, and then the bottom half is all actual show news, trailers, and everything. So buckle up if you have a preference. So what came out from this person, and this person that has been getting stuff right lately, but is not a perfect scooper. But so it's just something that we like to talk about and theorize. Go, what if? Not the Watcher what if, but what if? There's a report going around that for Spider-Man 4, and I don't know if this has anything to do with why we haven't really heard much about it. They don't have a director, which this report still said they are looking for a director. So unsure if John Watts is coming back or someone new. But we've talked about this a few times where it's like, hey, where is Spider-Man 4? Why is there no title, no cast, anything? Like, Spider-Man 3, $1.9 billion, one of the biggest movies, definitely one of the biggest movies of post-COVID era, but I don't even know where it is. I'll have to look like in movies of all time because we got a couple 2 billions, 3 billions, but it's up there. Maybe it's in a top 10. I will confirm that. But either way, it's like, where's the sequel, right? These people aren't getting any younger. Yeah, that's true. They're not getting any younger. So what's happening? This is the rumor. So that's why you take it with a grain of salt. But let's say if it was, let's have a little conversation. And I also just was curious because my favorite thing, I put this in Discord and right away Taylor said one thing and then Colin said another. And I feel like I've seen this a lot on my timeline. So I wanted to like sniff you guys out in a news sense, not an actual sense, but I'm sure you smell
You
fine.
can sniff me anytime. you like.
Yeah, I'm sure you got that Dyson. Taylor's Dysoning himself.
He's clean. There's not a single dust bite.
Yeah.
in sight.
So the rumored scuttlebutt is that they're making Spider-Man 4 and Sony and Marvel Studios, aka Kevin Feige, cannot agree on the direction. The direction is Kevin and company want to make it a more grounded street level Spider-Man 4. So probably something similar to Homecoming-ish, probably a little bit different. That comes into probably where we got these Daredevil rumors and Kingpin rumors, which even this report said that they have talked to Vincent D'Onofrio. So maybe with both versions, he would be in this, who knows? But that's the MCU pitch of, hey, we want to go back to street level, focus on that. Apparently the Sony pitch is, well, we want to bring back Tobey and Andrew and we want to do that. And it's not known if that's a full movie. I would assume this go around, it would be literally probably from Act 1, all three are together because you've already done that. This time you can preview it, show it ahead of time. But that seems to be the one of the issues. And maybe this could be something as far as we've heard reports even a couple of years ago, it was street level, and then a couple of scoopers said, "Oh, it's kind of changing to something bigger," because everyone was like, "Oh, I want it to be street level." So that's where, and Taylor, I'll start with you because I wasn't surprised. At the same time, I was a little the direction. But what Kevin Feige and Sony sit to you? They're like, "You're the third man in the room. You get to break the vote. Which way do you throw your which ring do you throw your hat in there?" No, yeah.
Which ring do I throw my hat?
That's
into?
the expression, right? Isn't that
I
expression?
throw my hat into the ring.
That's the one. Why do you throw
Kirkland's
your
the horseshoe throwing guy, so we need him for the throw.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking like a ring, like a finger ring. I was like,
Okay.
that seems weird.
What would you prefer? Is the easier way of me just saying it?
I would prefer not to go the street level. I seem to recall, and I think this you're probably alluding to this too, but like wasn't there something that they announced before, like a team up of like Spider-Man joining in with some of these street level people? I guess that's what Feige wanted, right?
The rumor was, yeah, because me and Dylan talked about this a couple weeks ago. There was a rumor plot going around that it was described as like a street level Civil War. I don't think it was that. It sounded like it was going to be Spider-Man 4 with a lot of street level heroes, Daredevil, Echo, Jessica Jones, Punisher, and we don't know what their size were, but that's what it sounds like. It was like Spider-Man in the midst of New York and war, and that's where we've talked about this before. They're doing Devil's Reign, which is that's why Fisk is going for mayor, and that's the thing where he takes over New York, and street level characters rebel against him. So that was maybe the idea of, hey, and maybe we talked about this newscast. Maybe there's an idea of like maybe Punisher's like team like kill everybody, and maybe Spidey and Daredevil aren't. But yeah, that was the working theory of Spider-Man with also street level heroes.
Right. Okay. Yeah. To break that tie though, I'm definitely going Tobey and Garfield. I feel like I would just eat that up again. I feel as well like it's been a long enough time that bring them back, and I don't feel like we're tapping into something or milking something that we really got to enjoy with Spider-Man Far From Home. I think
No way.
I think that there's still more to explore there. That being said, I'm saying this right now because I don't have that reassurance and confirmation that we'll ever see those characters again. Like they tried to get Garfield into, what was it, Madame? Was it Madame?
Well, it sounds like
they changed it.
Well, it just sounds like in general they tried to work someone out with him, and it didn't.
Yeah,
it didn't go.
And they
then-
would mold any movie around him.
Yeah, I think they were just
Or he
like
would be willingly wanting to appear.
they showed him the slate, and they said, "Which one do you want?" I don't
Right.
know. I don't see Amazing Spider-Man 3 on there.
And then on top of that, you also have, again, I don't have that reassurance that Tobey's going to necessarily be in the next Avengers movie, Secret War or whatever it is. So even though that's what people are kind of tossing around, you'll see your Hugh Jackman's Wolverine and Tobey in the same movie kind of thing, right? But there's no reassurances, and so if I can bank on something now, then I would bank on it because I want to see them again. We never got that Tobey Spider-Man 4. We never got that Garfield Spider-Man 3, and those are definitely more stories I want to see told. I don't know what they would necessarily do to bring these characters in. I imagine
Oh, easy.
it would be more multiversal stuff, which
Yeah.
would work, and I feel like it would be equivalent to the Spider-Verse films where you just have like his timeline's all taken care of and squared away, but still the other spiders are able to like trek in. And with Sony's help, they could make that a thing now with the MCU by having what was the name of the organization again?
Oh, is it Spider Society?
I think it is Spider Society.
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, there's so many different ways that they could just shoehorn them in. And as cool as it was to have all of those Spider-Man villains kind of be the threat there, I could see why people would be apprehensive, because if you throw Tobey in, you throw Garfield in with Holland, then what is your threat? What are you dealing with here? Because it have to be of equal
Great
or
Goblin.
rival higher than Great Goblin. It'd have to be of a more dangerous threat level than dealing with Doc Ock, Electro, Lizard, Goblin, all those characters, Sandman. So it's hard to think who would fit that bill necessarily. Why would they come to Tom Holland's Spider-Man's aid, I guess, is what I'm trying to think. And I can't
Kang.
Kang. Guilty is not the right word. I don't want to be
I can't be guilty.
greedy.
Would that sound like O.J. Simpson? I can't.
I can't be guilty. I definitely don't want to be greedy though and have them just shoehorn in there as much as I want them. But I want them to be proper justification. I would take that over the street level stuff, because the street level stuff I have never really been a huge fan of, and I think Echo kind of just reaffirms that. While there was some good stuff in there, I think it just solidifies my stance on how I feel about the street level stuff, and that's devoid of me seeing the original Daredevil show, which is in the works. We're gonna retro it. So.
But don't you like Homecoming, right?
I do, and even then, Homecoming has Iron Man, so it didn't feel street level, I guess.
Fair enough. Yeah, I still think when MCU says street level, it's still like, it's not Echo and Daredevil street level. It's like the big time version of a street level. Like it'll be the two, because they're not
a main Avenger in there or something.
Well, yeah, you could have like a Kate Bishop. I don't know if she's the main Avenger or whatnot, but like I think their version of street level is it's $200 million, like minimum.
Good street.
Yeah, it's a really big street. Yeah. Where are you, Dylan, on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely on the side of the street level. That's been my preference when we've had these conversations, these rumors in the past. But it is a spectrum, and it's like I just watched No Way Home last week, and I love that movie. It's so fun, and every single scene of Tobey and Garfield is just a 10 out of 10. So if you give me more of that, I'm gonna be happy. I'm gonna be hyped and excited. But I just think for the character of Tom Holland Spider-Man, this Peter Parker, I really want to go small scale. I want to see just his emotional journey of going from his place now where he's all alone and see that kind of built up. And I think the street level stuff makes sense. I totally understand what Taylor's saying there, and that when you have movies like this, especially sequels, you got to keep upping the stakes. You got to get more and more intense. But I think that is kind of a bit of a fallacy. Like, I don't think you have to do it. I think the studios think you have to do it, and that's where it makes sense. But like, how are you going to top what that movie was unless you once again do all that stuff, bring all these spider characters back, bring a bunch of, we already hit like all the main big hitters of those other universes, so I don't think you'd be able to match that anyway. And then obviously if you could throw a million Avengers in there, that would up the stake, but that wouldn't really be a Spider-Man movie anymore, right? So I've definitely been on the side of like, let's go street level. I don't even really want Zendaya or the guy who plays Ned in there anymore. Not that I don't want them, but I just don't think that makes sense as the story progression of who this Peter Parker is right now.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of want, it's almost like a soft reboot in a way, because no one knows who he is. Like you could even have him facing off against some Avenger character who doesn't know who he is, just because once again there's like no connection there. So you could do some fun stuff with like a smaller scene. And I think of like Ant-Man versus Falcon in Ant-Man 1. Like you could do something like that, because now no one knows who Peter Parker or who Spider. Well, I guess people are going to know who Spider-Man is again, but they're not going to.
They know who Spider-Man is, so they know Spider-Man was on the Avengers.
In terms of how that spell went through when Doctor Strange did that thing. So,
do you think they would do that again? 'Cause, I mean, that's a good idea, but they had him face off against Doctor Strange in the last one. So would they pitch him against another Avenger? Do you think?
Yeah, I think if you just take another character and do it, you could. I don't see that. We're gonna have a conversation about like what the villain could be for this movie. I don't think that would be the main villain. I don't think him against the new Captain America would be your lead villain in the movie. That wouldn't work. But
everyone's complaining where Sam is, and they use him to be the villain of Spider-Man 4.
Exactly to the scale, because even like that Falcon versus Ant-Man thing, that's way smaller scale than what the Doctor. Because Doctor Strange was a huge part of that movie in general, right? He was at the beginning and the end, and then that sequence.
He's the reason they're all there, right? The spider
yeah,
people
so-
and everything.
So yeah, I think something smaller scale could be fun like that, and I definitely want to see the street level. I do have some bias there because I'm bringing in my backstory now of the Netflix Marvel shows, but also they're now accepting those as part of the MCU canon, right? That's what they're
Yes.
saying by putting those on Disney Plus in the universe and whatnot. So that stuff is canon, and so I want to see more of it now. And there's so many characters to pull from that, whether it's small scale stuff like a Bullseye, all the way up to a Daredevil, right? So I'm definitely more on the side of I would like to see a street level thing, and I think they could pull it off just with how the story ended in the last one, without having to up the stakes. I think you've already kind of set the scene for a sort of soft launch here for a new era of Spider-Man, a new trilogy maybe.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn all over on this one from a business point of view, from an ideology point of view, from what I want point of view, because if this were true from an ideology point of view, not great for. I feel like that's very far apart to be on a project. For it's not just like we're doing street level and we'd like Charlie. How would we give you Charlie Cox? And like, oh well, we'd want someone bigger. It's not like. If this is true, like I said, massive grain of salt, so I'll stop saying that, but just saying, like, you know, let's just go in the realm where this is, Dylan's he's in the room, and he just got back and said, man, you wouldn't believe what Kevin Feige done with Sony. If they're this far apart, not that I'm worried like it's going to fall apart, I think because money helps, they'll figure it out. It would feel odd that they're so far apart on street level versus a multiverse. I would say event. I don't know if it's an event like, oh, they are fighting a Kang, they're traveling different universes, but no matter what, it has to be multiverse something because they don't live in the same universe, right? So it's already some bigger scale, whether that's Strange or somebody else doing magic mumbo jumbo. So that's one. From what I want, the cheap answer is just like both, you know, like in my perfect world is we do a street level movie and the end credit scene is Tobey Maguire showing up and says, I really need your help. And then boom, cut to black. Then you do Spider-Man 5. That's when you bring them all back. That's my pitch of they should just figure it out and go, hey, you know how we could do this? Let's just make both. Let's do the street level thing. Because I'm with Dylan. I want it to be a soft reboot. I still think, unfortunately, they're going to bring Zendaya back and everything. But I want it to be like, give a movie like people said, like Spider-Man pretty much on his own, doing his stuff, and then get into big stuff. But at the same time, I do wonder if, because some people are kind of over it and they said, oh, this is the multiverse saga. By the time we get to Spider-Man 5, would that be after we're done this Kang stuff and everything, right? Or the multiverse? So it's kind of like, it'd be weird if we were to close it, right? Let's say Secret Wars reboots everything, and then Spider-Man 5 is like right back to multiverse stuff. People would kind of be, of course they'd be excited, but people would be like, well, what's the point? I thought that was the end of the saga here. Now we're already doing this again. And I think what's interesting too, why I think I would go with the street level stuff, and that's why I guess personally I really don't know. I didn't even answer that, is because like I'm with Dylan. Like I recently, a couple months ago, me and Gwen rewatched them all, and No Way Home is it's such a good time, and they have chemistry, and I think that I do want to see a Spider-Verse-esque movie where they're together 75% of that movie to get even more of that. I think the ultimate is like what Taylor says, you do Spider-Man or Across Spider-Verse 2, where this time Tom goes to Tobey's universe, and then they go to Andrew's universe. Like I think that's the play right there, is you get to, because I don't think they're ever going to make a Spider-Man 4 and Amazing Spider-Man 3, but that's the way you kind of make it in a cheat way, right? Is we can see Kirsten Dunst. We can see if they want to bring back Emma Stone, which they should. Like, we could see all that stuff. But I guess that's where also I'm at the same point where, and I guess this is why I'll pick the street level stuff for now, is because Sony could always do that, right? They could next year do this movie and say we're no longer, Marvel and Sony, we've been happy to work together, but we're going our own ways. Sony can do this movie at any point. They own the Spider-Man, they own these characters. They can just have fucking Madam Web pop up and cause some trouble. Like, they can, right? It's not like we really want Chris Hemsworth in this movie and Feige's like, well, we want Daredevil. It's like it's not like Chris Hemsworth is going to go away when the deal's gone. So I guess that's where I would lean, is I would go street level first. And this is all on the predicament of, it sounds bad, I guess, because I do want a Peter Parker story, but it's like, I want Daredevil guaranteed, though. Like, it's one of these things, if you tell me Daredevil's not in this, then I definitely flip right back to Andrew and Tobey, because I really want to see those street level heroes get together. So that's kind of my preference now, is do street level now. There's tons of stories there, and you can do this multiverse thing anytime. Maybe you do this multiverse movie team up to introduce Miles, right? Maybe it's these 3 Spider-Man. Like, that's how you could do it. Like, I think there's lots of ways. But then my third addendum is, if you're a business, I can completely see why Sony wants to do this again. Because if you're looking at the scoreboard and you, okay, Spider-Man, which I didn't look it up, Spider-Man No Way Home, $1.9 billion movie, and we're going to do a sequel to that with the same characters, or Spider-Man with like Kingpin and Daredevil. Like, I can see
and now
this.
you can really put those like you put Tobey and Andrew on the poster and all that too. Because
Yes.
they're not trying. They don't need to hide it anymore, and that just that's going to print money.
That's the whole thing, right? They did that after, but that's what we always talked about. Were they going to show them the trailers? They never did. This time, like you said, they get to do that all the times. Posters to the Tonight Show. Like, imagine Hot One. We did this with the Marvels. They never did it. Imagine the Hot Ones with all 3 of them. You know, like there's so much you could do to like just really like prep that going, actors on actors, everything. Comic-Cons together, D23s, like just the 3. And we saw even after the fact when they did interviews together, they talked about how they have a group chat. Like, that was the thank goodness thing, that they all got along and they seem like they're on the same page. So I can see why Sony would want to do that. And that's where I just still wonder if like maybe that does eventually happen, where, because all we've gotten out so far is that Spider-Man has an appearance in an MCU movie. I don't think, as public knowledge, we don't know that there's for sure another Marvel MCU Sony deal, right? And maybe that's what ends up happening. They go their own separate ways. They just say, well, we can do this without you. Now, this is what I said to Taylor, though, and this is where I agree with Sony on the business point of view. It's always dangerous to go with the plan that Sony has. Because I know, Taylor, you did say, like, yeah, Marvel hasn't been hinting it out, but, like, to me, like, Morbius and Venom 2 and what Madam Web is, that to me doesn't compare to, like, sure, we got Secret Invasion and we got Echo, but we still got Guardians, you know, and you still got Multiverse of Madness last year. Like, you still got great Loki season 2 for you. Where, like, Sony live action, I don't know. What was the last banger they had for you, Taylor? I think you liked Venom 1, I guess, right? But like that's 5 years ago now.
Yeah, so I mean,
it's a drought.
Morbius, like I did not go see Morbius in
Sorry,
theaters,
6 years now. 6 years.
6 years. It took me a while to get around to seeing Morbius, but I definitely didn't hate it as much as people kind of let on. But I didn't love it. Like, I thought this was like changing the superhero scene,
the hierarchy.
Like that. The hierarchy, yeah, definitely was not doing anything like that. I don't know, their stuff feels pretty much like the same wavelength going along. Venom 2, I didn't really care for that much, but like I'm excited for Kraven. And for some weird way, like I have a little bit of excitement for Madame Web.
No, you
because
don't.
I guess I'm curious. Only because I don't know those characters and I want to get to know a little bit more, but I don't know if it's really going to be breaking records.
It's not. The tracking right now is not good. The tracking right now is it's supposed to make 50 to 100 million domestically, like, total.
That's rough.
Opening weekend is like a 20 to 30 million, so it's not.
That must have a smaller budget, though, right? I mean, I guess you have
I would hope
big actresses in there, but you don't. Like, it seems like a fairly. Speaking of grounded, it seems like a pretty street level grounded movie.
Let's see. So there's just an early report of a budget of 80 million. I don't know where that's from, but if it was 80, that's not terrible. If they were to only make 100 million, though, they don't make a profit. But like, it's not like a.
Yeah.
It's not like a Marvels where you're eating a big, like a big, I don't know, chunk of it. So
Big chunk of it, yeah.
yeah. So yeah, we'll see. It's going to be interesting. I want to get some news on this. And I wonder, too, from MCU and Feige's point of view, if they do plan on doing Tobey and Andrew, which we're going to talk about for Secret Wars in a little bit, if that's a part of the pitch, too, where they're just like, well, we're going to, like, we kind of want to do that. Or we want to save the next time they're together in the Avengers.
Yeah,
and Sony's like, well, we'd kind of like to do that in our thing. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. But I just hope both happen. But I don't know. I don't know. It's interesting. And same thing with, you know.
Part of me, like, I don't want it to get oversaturated. Like, the more we do it, the less special it's going to feel from that Feige perspective that you were just talking about there. But, you know, I'm cheap and easy. Like, just give me more, and, like, I'll take it. But I don't know. I think from the artistic point of view, I think we should keep it limited and just make it count when you do it.
Because we didn't get tired of seeing the Avengers together, right? Like, you know, Cap, Tony, and Thor. Like, we saw them together like 5 times, and we still loved it come Endgame, right? So,
True. Yep.
And plus, like, I feel like Secret Wars, if I'm in the Sony room pitching, like, maybe it's like, well, like, yeah, we're gonna do this movie again, but the specialty is like them meeting Hugh Jackman or them meeting like Chris Evans. It's not about Tom Holland so much now. It's about like, oh, they get to meet Ryan Reynolds. Think about a scene with Tobey Maguire and Ryan Reynolds. Like lots of good stuff there. So we will see. I just hope we kind of get some news soon now that the strike's over and everything. I'd like some official stuff, but I feel like I've said this before. I do think that this year and all these Sony movies are maybe going to bomb or not do well. I wonder if Sony's going to take a step back and replan some things,
Take the easy
right?
paycheck there. They don't have to do anything.
Right?
Let the Feige and team just make all this money for you.
Yeah. Or is the easy paycheck to them being like, let's just put the Spider-Man back together and cut Feige out,
You don't think they'd sell?
No, they'll never. They never have to sell Spider-Man. They bought it for like a cheap, like what you would get Spider-Man for. They'd have to buy it'd be a crazy amount of money they'd have to pay Spider-Man to get back. So they'll never sell
Yeah,
Spider-Man.
that would be a lot of money.
I think Feige ever just throws that into the room, like, "Oh, hey, you guys, do you want to sell Spider-Man to me yet?" Like, no, Kevin. Not
If he's
today."
planning on leaving, maybe and especially
It's like,
Disney.
we'll give you the Marvels. Anything about that trade.
Oh man, yeah. What characters? You'd have to I think you'd have to at least have like 10 characters, and one of them would probably have to be an Avenger.
All of it would have to be
All
give them all of them. They can hand off an Avenger that has been killed off or something like that.
But then, like, the fine print is that there's no Avengers right now, so they don't actually have to give them anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taylor, would you do that trade? Would you
Well,
be
I mean,
fine if it's like, okay, we'll give you Iron Man for Spider-Man?
I mean, because Iron Man's story is done, but they could
They could reboot. That's what I'm saying.
They
yeah.
could reboot. But I mean, technically, if Sony's like, well, we want an Avenger for Spider-Man. I mean, think about Endgame. Think about all those randos that are now Avengers. It could be like 2 random Asgardians. Like, yeah, these guys are Avengers.
I don't think they're gonna. Feige's gonna trick them like that. I think.
You want Howard the Duck? He's an Avenger now.
No, I don't. I don't think so.
Anyone who came out of Portal. I don't
Yeah,
think that
anyone that
instantly makes
came
you an
through a portal.
Avenger.
Cap did say
inducted,
Avengers
right?
Assemble though, right at the end, and they all ran together.
Well, but he doesn't say like only Avengers assemble.
Yeah, only Avengers assemble. So like most of them just stay behind.
Maybe they give him Pepper Potts. She's the
Yeah,
Avenger.
What's her hero name?
Rescue.
Yeah. The blue
She'll come
suit.
rescue the box office.
Nice.
And
yeah.
Sony's like, we saw what happened last year to your box office. Not going to happen, but. All right, let's take our first ad break, and then we're going to talk about some more Spidey, so we'll be right back. And we're back. So this was a part of this other rumor that came out, same source. So again, this is where I don't know if this would be. This is where I wonder if there's. I know we broke away from that topic, but is there a possibility you could do a street level Spider-Man movie with the 3 Spider-Man? Is there a way to meet in the middle with that, where it's we're gonna have it street level and the Spider-Man are just around? I think you could, right? Kind of.
It's kind of like how when we did the animated show, and then we'd have an episode where Spidey fights the Insidious 6,
Yeah.
or the Sinister 6, but then we go back and then he fights only Rhino,
Yes.
in another episode. And it's well, I saw him fight 6 at once, so this doesn't really make sense. And so that's where I just don't know how you keep the scale down if you bring those other 2 back, and we saw them dismantle all these huge villains, and not just powerful villains, but villains that are from our childhood too, these other actors, big performance, big characters. Defoe's in there, right?
Yeah.
You gotta crank up the intensity, and that's where I just feel it starts to balloon. Where we're not gonna bring those guys back, maybe one of them or something. You got to add a bunch more in, and they can't just we already went and grabbed all the best of from those other Spider-Man movies. So instead, you have to go get some other huge villains or big characters. So you have if you have the multiverse angle to it, you can bring in absolutely anyone.
Thanos.
So maybe there's that, but it feels difficult to envision that not just being very quickly not a street level movie.
That's why it sucks, because this wouldn't be street level either. But it for a villain that way,
If
it's
street level just means in New York, then yeah, we can. do
Yeah,
it. But
true, yeah.
I think to me it has more meaning than just New York.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you too, because it's if it's street level and it's Kingpin, that is a villain in this. I still think it's Kingpin with somebody. It's not Kingpin alone is taking on
Bullseye.
these 3 Spider-Man. Yeah, with Bullseye. But I think.
Both bullseyes. Yeah, the cinematic universe of Bullseye.
Oh gosh, but this is where I have an eternal hate for what happened with it. So I know people will say, "Oh, you're biased," but like this is where I wish the Venom movies didn't exist because like I feel like Venom is like a character you could see. Like obviously you have the toy one, but imagine in the MCU, it's like they bring in Venom. It's like that's a solo character.
Well,
I believe you could.
got left behind, right? And it's not Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
So.
So like, do you think maybe it finds no? Who's Eddie Brock in our universe again? Oh, we don't have an Eddie Brock in MCU, right? No, we have Flash Thompson. Okay.
We have a different, kind of Flash
So,
interpretation.
so like, I know the story running yet too that there's a rumor that the villain's going to be someone we haven't seen before, but like, could that be believable? Where like the Goo finds an Eddie Brock, and it's like a really scary Venom, and that's who the like Amazing Tobey and Tom Holland got to fight.
Why even go? I mean, maybe this is too far out there from being street level, but why even go with an Eddie Brock? I mean, if Sony has problems with that, like, hey, we got Venom 3, Tom Hardy is our Eddie, and right now we were going with him. But then Kevin could be like, okay, well, what if, and here kind of can piggyback on what you're saying, Dylan, like earlier with an Avengers character. What if we get, like,
that's
some
what I was
other
gonna say,
familiar Avengers hero and the
That would be
symbiote jumps on him? Like, that'd be so cool.
Fuck, who would that be?
Like Hulk
Yeah.
or something?
That's what I was gonna say, right?
Sick.
That like
Crazy.
if
That alone, that one villain, to me, that's worthy of fighting the 3 Spider-Man. Like that's powerful stuff.
and maybe you could do it in a way where, you know what, I'm not, even though this is not the rumor at all, I'd be completely down with, you get Ruffalo, great and Poor Things. I can't wait to talk in Golden Geeks,
So
but
good,
you get Ruffalo, and maybe him and Peter, they're vibing, right? They're scientists. So at the beginning of the movie, he's Smart Hulk still. That symbiote gets to him, and that's what snaps him back into Savage Hulk. Is that symbiote messing with that gamma
Yes.
radiation?
And this is and here's okay. So Daredevil is around, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, I know a Hulk. Let me bring in
Oh,
She-Hulk. You bring
shit,
her in there. Now you have
yeah.
this team up. These 5 against that. That would be so sick.
Or
You have
even
Scar
then,
in there
just-
too. Taylor's favorite. He could be. I don't know what he's doing, but he's there somehow.
You can even just have Jennifer hear the news, and if her and Matt are still an item, like he's already there. Like he's just like having a sleepover and stuff. And oh my goodness,
Yes.
like that would a symbiote Hulk with first thing the 3 Spider-Man, like that could work. Because I don't know if there's any other MCU current character right now that I would buy. Like they get the symbiote and are big threat. Like. So what? We got Shang-Chi. I don't think that's going to happen. One of the Eternals. We got Moon Knight.
Captain Marvel could be interesting.
They wouldn't do that after the movie, though. I think the
Multiverse.
success, right? They'd probably be like, we want someone else
No, I
now.
don't think they would.
They wouldn't do Strange, and I don't want to see a symbiote Strange. Like, there's just something I don't want to
have
see
What
Venom
If
with.
for even
Yeah.
Strange, yeah.
And I don't want to see a symbiote using magic. There's just something. There's something off with the symbiote being like, like
Sam Wilson, that's what they'll do. Captain
again,
America
yeah,
gets
Captain
the symbiote.
America.
I mean, I don't know if this would work, but like Ant-Man, like a giant man, with Venom,
Giant
that would be
symbiote.
That'd be
Just- yeah.
wild.
Yeah. I'm trying to think who else has been in Phase 4 and Phase 5.
I mean, you have like Black Panther stuff, you have Eternal stuff.
Gaia gets a symbiote.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Maybe just cut right to Harrison Ford as Red Hulk, and he gets the symbiote.
Right. Well, isn't that your favorite one? Didn't you find that one day? It's like Red Hulk with a symbiote with a T-Rex or something. Or is it Ghost? What is it again?
Red Hulk gets the Spirit of Vengeance
Right.
and the symbiote, and he's just
That's
juiced.
And it's Harrison Ford
That's like
versus.
video game level stuff where you just equip whatever random items you want to these characters. Ultimate Alliance. Yeah.
I want that. That sounds great. That it's all built in there. Would that happen? Probably not. But that's a
Why
threat
not?
actually.
I mean, they got all the puzzle pieces. You just gotta do it. It's easy.
No, I agree, but that currently the rumors going around, which I feel like it's an easy one, but I still wanted to throw it out there that I don't know if it's the main villain or one of the villains, but it sounds like that whatever version of the script is there is a villain that's never been seen before in live action that is going to be in this. So Dylan, do you have any spring to mind that you haven't seen the movies, but the games, animation, one that you're dying for that hasn't been in live action yet? And it sounded like it was both Sony and Marvel, so it doesn't sound like it's like a Morbius or something. Not that it would be.
I figured it wouldn't be a Craven or something like that. Yeah, the few thoughts. I mean, there's got to be some Goblin that like technically we haven't seen. Like
Hobby, right? We haven't
like
seen Hobby yet.
Goblin, we haven't seen him, right? Technically.
No, and that's Ned. You could get Ned Leeds back, and he could be the villain
I
there.
don't want that.
I don't want that either
I
at
don't
all.
want that.
But that is
Yeah.
one of the hobgoblins is Ned, so you could do something like that.
Yeah. I was also thinking, and I don't know if this could really work as a main villain, but
Okay.
you know how I just talked about how Zendaya, like I just don't think story-wise it makes sense for her to be in this. What if you have Chameleon though? And Chameleon is like Ned and Zendaya in this movie. I keep saying Zendaya. I forget. I guess MJ is her character.
Yeah.
You have
So what is Chameleon doing as Adam J and Ned? That's what I'm trying to figure out. What is?
I that's the thing. Like he would have to
Is
know
he
who
kissing
Peter
Peter? What's
Parker
going?
is.
Yeah.
He would have to know that. So I don't know how like there's some rule, this like strangest spell where
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe Chameleon was like imitating himself as a Spider-Man in that moment, and that's why the spell. I don't know. You'd have to come up with some
No, that's fair.
scheme. But that was one thought. Black Cat. I guess we haven't seen her before.
They're never doing Black Cat.
I don't think she'd be a main villain.
With 3
though.
Spider-Men.
Well, no, I don't think. Yeah, no, I don't think that. Even though I think that would be great if they actually gave someone like that to Andrew, as far as like that should be his story as one coming to terms with himself, but then maybe finding love again. But it would have to be one of the other Spider-Man. I don't think Holland is going to be. I know people be like, oh, they're actors and everything. I get that, but I think if Zendaya and him are in the same movie, I don't think they're going to give him another love interest to like make out with. I just don't see the love triangle in a real life relationship. I feel like, I don't know,
The other ones I was thinking is like Mr. Negative is one of those kind of low key characters who was in Spider-Man 2018, and I feel like that one they could really get interpretive with it and do all sorts of different stuff.
They could uber power him up too, like you're talking about. You could make him a 3 Spider-Man threat. Like I know, like you guys be in the games, but like he has some pretty big power. So
yeah, and then this one's a bit more wild, I suppose, but like the Silver Surfer, like I don't know if that gets around the technicality because he hasn't been in like a Spider-Man thing, but
that's a big one. That's a big one. Whoa.
Yeah, I don't know. That's one potential thought there.
Okay. Tay, what about you? Is there any villain that we haven't seen before that you think would fit this bill? If not, you can pass.
I mean, I really don't know who else that's just kind of low key. My mind just goes to larger contenders, bigger names, but anyone that's low key, I feel like I would prescribe to what you said. Like you'd have your Kingpin, and then you'd have someone that just kind of is working with him. That's why I feel like the Bullseye kind of fits with that. But I like I alluded to earlier, like you need, after what we had in the previous Spider-Man, and you have 3 of them coming back again.
We don't know that. That's if.
Yeah. So if you have 3 of them again in this movie, then I feel like you need to up that ante of whatever, like what we had in the previous Spider-Man film, because and you got to make sure you're picking the right villain. Like you can't just do the Shocker or Scorpion or something like that.
Well, that was my pick, was Scorpion, because like I
guess
would 3 Spider-Men be
no
to that?
To me, if the 3 Spider-Man happen, that whole villain thing gets thrown out the window, unless it is like, I don't know. I think it's all. I can't say Madam Web because she has a movie, but I think if the 3 Spider-Men are there, it has to be someone of great scale. Or even though it is kind of copying, like, can you do Kingpin with a bunch of villains, and that's why there's 3 Spider-Man? Because that is like No Way Home again, where it's them versus 5 or something. But like, Kingpin makes a Sinister Six, right? And then they fight the Sinister Six, but it's kind of rinse and repeat. But I think if it's street level, I think Scorpion's like a must. I love Scorpion. I think this is the perfect type of route for, he's a good lackey bad guy that you can make really cool. He can never just be his own villain. I think that suit, as long as you like CGI it not to be a wood truck, can look really cool. And I just think like the set piece between Tom Holland and a Scorpion with the tail and the acid, like you could really have some fun there. So I think if it's the street level, I think it's Scorpion. Some other ones that Dylan, you'll appreciate were thrown out, or Tombstone or Hammerhead, as like, that would make sense for goons, right?
Tombstone was in Spider-Verse, but we haven't seen him.
True. Yeah, he wasn't been live action yet, So yeah, you could have him, and obviously Spider-Verse, he's just like in there a little bit, and Hammerhead. But again, like that's all, like all the unseen live action ones make me jump to, that would be the street level movie then, because I can see Tom Holland fighting Kingpin, Scorpion, Hammerhead, Tombstone, all as a, because like, okay, these people aren't the strongest, but together they can take down New York. But if it's all 3 Spider-Men, I think they bop Scorpion pretty easy. Like I don't think that's like maybe like you said, Mr. Negative, maybe you could just really like kind of like what they did with the Spot in Spider-Verse, right, where they just like turned his powers to 1,000. Yeah. You could do that with Mr. Negative, but
they made it more. They made it have more gravity, more darkness of the Spot than I'm used to, at least. I mean, my history of the character is very limited to the animated show. And the other thought I had, and this one's tricky because I feel like with these Spider-Man things, they, in terms of when MCU gets the rights to like do another movie, it's like very spotty, so they don't want to like plan their future movies on whether or not they're going to get that. But I was thinking something like Blade is probably too soon, but like Wonder Man could be another one where you could bring one of these characters, like that could be their introduction, would be like in a Spider-Man movie as a villain, and then you have their, I guess, Blade movie or Wonder Man TV show, and that goes off in the thing. I don't know much about Wonder Man. I couldn't find. I tried looking up to see if he's fought Spider-Man before.
I don't think he would be fighting him. No, I
don't. Version, but he's kind of like a villainous guy, right?
Yes and no. I don't think he'd be the Spider-Man level. I think what they're gonna do with him in the MCU sounds like he's gonna be pretty low powered. It sounds like that's gonna be almost more like She-Hulk, where it's gonna be a bit more of a comedy this go around. So
right. That makes sense.
So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
And then the last point of Spidey news here. So this is a rumor. This is C tier 1, but there's another person like posted this and they took it down because they're like, oh, it's embargoed, this news, so I don't want to share it. So again, I just want to throw this out here because, I think this would be a terrible idea. Doesn't make much sense, but also we're talking about Sony as a company here. They love to make terrible ideas. So there's a rumor going around right now that they are developing a rated R animated Spider-Man movie. I don't know what that would mean, if that would mean Spider-Man Peter Parker or Spider-Man Noir or whatever it may be. But Taylor, would you want this? And two, do you think this is actually a plausible thing? And do you think this would even be like a good idea to do, like, hey, we're doing a rated R Spider-Man anime movie, not live action, animated rated R?
I mean, after the success of Spider-Verse and I mean, again, it's not got any rated R tendencies.
The
but it
PG kids movie, that Spider-Verse?
Well, yeah, that one. I mean, they got the animated film, like, they got that polished off. That's great. Mm-hmm. So with Miguel O'Hara and a few other characters that they introduced in Across the Spider-Verse, I feel like it would not be too out of reach for them to dip into some darker sides and some darker tones of these characters. So if they were to pursue that, I would be interested in, for sure. I think that there's such a very serious and twisted story that you can explore when your Uncle Ben or whoever that equivalent is in these multiversal stories dies, and you could really go down that path more. And I'm not saying like
gets decapitated. And
well, yeah, I mean, they've alluded to it, and it's something I really want to see. And I feel like Tobey is the one that Tobey and Tom Holland have come close, because when Holland's Spider-Man was just going down and ready to just like stab that glider into Green Goblin, that was fucking crazy. And then you have Tobey where he's going and chasing after the murder of Uncle Ben. Like, there's so many different things like that.
Why do you need to go
great,
but further than that?
Yeah.
Why is that not good enough?
Well, it is good enough, but I mean, if they want to share another story and just showcase like going beyond, and that's their choice to do it. Like, I'm not necessarily saying like, oh, Sony, I need this movie. But if they're serving it to me, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to indulge and I'm going to see what this has to offer. And I feel like, again, when you're looking at Andrew Garfield and he's talking to the other Spider-Man, he's like, I stopped pulling my punches, and he's alluding to that darker side of things that in his timeline. I'd be down to see like what was going on, like who is he fighting, and what is the context here where he just loses his shit and he just comes to like nearly murdering a guy. Like,
okay, so can I ask you a follow up then? That okay, that's I can see the pitch of fine. We want to tackle darker Spider-Man, go the BVS route with Superman. Do you think an animated form is the best? When like so far Sony Animation has done Spider-Verse, Cross, whatever, like, and those are very accessible to kids, and kids have fallen in love with Miles Morales because of movies like that. So do you think like there's a preview for a new animated movie, and then at the end it's like rated R, like 18 plus, like kids cannot go see this movie unless their parents are around. So that's where it's just like, I think you could explore that, but you think you can explore that in animation now, where they're popping off with these kids movies and projects, or I'll say family projects.
Well,
I feel like it's kind of a mixed message there from a company.
Yeah, like,
what are you looking up? What are you trying to look up to?
I was trying to pull a comparison to come at you with here. I just need to confirm that this. Yeah, okay. So what about Batman: The Killing Joke? Does that work in my argument?
What a good example there. One of the worst comic movies of all time. I feel like that partially made Dylan dislike Batman for like 5 years because I'm like, oh, you're gonna love The Killing Joke. It's remember we
I've
saw
seen that movie, haven't I?
You have me and
No
Emily.
recollection. I can't remember a single thing about it. Wow, that
There-
vanquished from my mind long ago.
There's a review on GeekVerse as well.
Wow.
I think it's you, me, Kyle, and Emily. And I remember it's early on the podcast. We got it in the theaters.
That might be the most forgettable movie in GeekVerse history. Then. I haven't thought about that movie probably since we hit end broadcast on that recording years ago.
And I remember that was one of the few Batman comics you had read too. You read that, like I gave you that, and I was like talking it up. And when we saw that movie, that was painful. And remember, it had like, and Kirkland was with us. He was on the review. It had like Mark Hamill talking about Star Wars and stuff like that. And we're like, what the fuck's going on? Oh yeah.
I don't remember. I really don't.
So, and how much did that movie make, Taylor? And that was a smaller release, but like, not great. But I think the difference is though.
4.4 million.
I think the difference is though, like I'm not saying I guess this would be like Spider-Verse, like Into the Violence. Like I don't think it would be a sequel. I just feel like if they clearly got a good thing going with family animated movies in the box office, like I just don't. This is a time where when we cover rumors, I say, oh, we cover them because grain of salt. Because like, look, a couple weeks ago, what did we cover? It was the Pedro thing, right? That was like, oh no, it was the Steven Yeun thing that came out from like a C tier scooper. It said, I've heard this, it's happening. And then 4 hours later, all the A tiers were like, yeah, it's true. So that's why we always talk about these things because you never know. This is something that I have to think is completely bullshit and made up because I just don't think, I know Sony is dumb and I know they've done a lot of things, a lot of questionable things. I can't say they're overall dumb. It's the people of Spider-Man that they've made a lot of questionable decisions. I just don't see who would be in that room pitching and everyone being like, yeah, let's do that. If it was live action, that I could even see. Like we're getting Craven. Like if they're like, hey, we want to do a Spider-Man noir, but we want to make it black. We want to make it like Sin City, Watchmen, really mature, see what the audience is out there. That's fine with me. But the second you go animated, I imagine the pitch would be, oh, it's cheaper that way. But I just don't think the market's there at all. And then I think that also hurts like the Spider-Verse market, which you look at, what was it? I was Into and Across. It was a massive jump up. So I just like, this can't be true, in my opinion. There's no way it can be true. And I don't even know if Spider-Man is just kind of one of those films where like, I'm not saying you can't do anything or characters I'm not saying you can't do anything darker, but I don't think Spider-Man necessitates an R rating. I don't need F-bombs. I don't need a full-on shame sex scene of him and MJ. I don't need gratuity. Like the ratings the Spider-Man movies get, none of my problems are, oh, this should have been darker, you know? So that's where I can't believe this is real. There's no way. And if this happens to come up, I'll be very surprised. There's no way.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think I have anything to add. I completely agree with everything you just said. I think it's an awful idea. I don't think it's real. And I don't personally have any interest in it. Like, you'd really have to convince me why it needs to be that way against all odds, because that just is going to isolate so much of the market that is Spider-Man. And, yeah, I think it could potentially hurt the brand a bit, too, in terms of what people expect or what parents expect. Maybe they see this R-rated one, and then they're like, oh, you can't go see the new Spider-Verse. It's one of those R-rated movies. And then you just, like, crap all over this whole momentum you built. So, yeah, I don't see it happening. Maybe a short. Maybe do some short, put it on a streaming service. You know, like a 20-minute thing where Uncle Ben gets his head exploded by a hobgoblin bomb or something.
Taylor loves that idea.
Yeah, he's into
Let's
it.
do it.
But
That's the only way. Yeah, I was talking about that with Brent because we were going back and forth because Spider-Man, he's a big fan. I imagine that's his favorite character, like fiction.
big Daredevil guy
Marvel.
too, though, right?
Yeah, definitely. But I give Chris would be the Daredevil guy. And I just feel like the only way I could see this is if they partnered with, or if Sony had their own streaming service and they were going to do this, it would only have to be a thing for streaming. And at that point, I just go same thing, like, why are they even doing that? Like, why are they putting the funds to make like, oh, on Amazon, you're going to get, you know, here you go. Because I know Clay was bringing this up too, which I do understand. He's like, oh, well, this could be because like Invincible has like, it does well, has lots of hype. Maybe that's the one to capitalize and do something similar to that. It's like, I guess, but also it's on Amazon Prime, which doesn't have to make a profit, right? Like majority of people have Prime Video because they have Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
We'll have to see if they ever branch off. So it's just like, I just don't know if like what Taylor's trying to look up, the market for animated rated R movies is there to make such a leap, you know?
Yeah, I can't imagine like which director or writer would like bring this proposal to Sony.
Tarantino.
Like, hey, do this. Yeah.
His
like,
final film.
the only kind of tier I can picture is like the people who are making like Pooh, Blood and Honey and like the Mean One and movies like that. But it's like Sony is not gonna want to pick something like that up. Just like some cheap R-rated thing for the sake of it being R-rated and kind of edgy, right? Like they don't want that.
I would hope.
Hopefully.
Another one, Sausage Party, 141 million at the box office.
I did Google. I was like, what even exists for R-rated anime movies? I'm like, yeah, I don't think I need a Spider-Man just cracking wise talking about his dick and
Yeah, no like spider orgy or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a good track record. So like I said, I don't believe this. Maybe there's some hybrid of like Dylan said, it's a short, or maybe they're even doing some sort of like, maybe it is like a Invincible series where that I could see like, okay, it's like a show on a streaming series somewhere that's gonna be a bit darker. But I also just still don't think we'd call it Spider-Man either. Too, I think it would be like Noir or 2099 or something like that. I don't think they'd be. It would be like a Peter Parker story in rated R. So. We'll see, but cut to 3 months from later when we're talking about, Phil Lord and Chris Miller are really excited for this project. And we're like, all right, let's see what happens. Let's take our second ad break, and then we'll be right back. And we're back. So here's another, I think the last rumor for the day for Marvel stuff. There's a rumor that came out today. Let me pull out the whole, I think I can remember it off. If I forget, I'll go pull it up. But there's just more stuff of, they're in the middle of, writing Avengers 5. That's still just called that for now. So there was some
in front of me if you want. By the way.
Okay, there was that. So you could read this tweet. Read that tweet, Dylan.
Jeff Loveness's plan for Avengers: The Kang Dynasty was to reportedly gather all the leads of the multiverse saga, except for Thor, to fight against Kang variants on Earth, and then the film would have felt relatively grounded and not involved many multiversal elements. Yeah,
and there's another part of this report where it's like, but they parted away after the negative reception of Ant-Man. It's like, you didn't even need that. Like, we got it. We can figure that out. Like, the three things here that I'll say, and then I'll throw to you guys, is one, they can say, like, this was his plan, but it's definitely not his plan. This is, like, Marvel having a plan, and like Jeff and him, like I don't think he came in and was like, guess what?
He puts the jokes in.
Yeah, he like steers the ship. They give him the destination, what they need picked up, and he's like, okay, I'll try my best to steer. And obviously, they didn't think that he could after Ant-Man and stuff. So like, okay, that's one. Two, that kind of tracks for what we've been hearing as far as, okay, Avengers 5 was supposed to be the whatever our Avengers are, who we don't even know, but our Avengers fighting Kang, and then Secret Wars was like a multiverse Avengers of like, hey, you want to say hi to these characters again? Here they are, right? And then they had all come together. So that does track for a bunch of rumors we had heard before. I don't think that's going to happen now. I think Avengers 5 is just going to be Secret Wars Part 1 and Secret Wars Part 2. I think they're just going to both go like banana sandwich, because like we don't even have Avengers now, so who really cares? It's not like you're putting together a team. Maybe I'm wrong. It is funny that they just say, because we were talking, Dylan asked me this, and we were talking about like, it's going to be a grounded movie, but you still got Kang and his variant, so it's not multiverse in the sense of like you're traveling to different worlds and different characters, but I guess it would still be like they kill a Kang and then like another one comes to get him. So I really don't know there. And then 3, this is what I'll ask you guys, and you guys can say this in the middle of your thoughts or whenever you want to, middle, beginning, end, you choose your own adventure. It's a good time. I don't understand, because we had talked about this many moons ago. I think like we did a cast a long time ago, me, Dylan, and Briggs, about like who could be in the new Avengers. I think we all had Thor there. And I think many times we've talked about how like you would imagine Thor and Loki would be included in these plans because all these things. And even with Thor, if you look at Phase 4 and Phase 5, they've had a lot of misses, but that's one of their, I think it's like in their top 3 for biggest films. So that's clearly a hit. I just don't understand, and this is what I'm hoping has changed. Why all these rumors we've heard over the past few years, like Thor is never incorporated in the team. I just never understand it. Even when I've talked about this before, the new Avengers in the comics, you had like Cap and Iron Man stay, and then like Spider-Man join and Wolverine, but there's still like a few members from the original members that stuck around, the original team that stuck around. So it's just odd, and I hope that someone's just in the room and be like, hey, Thor made almost like $800 million. Like, why isn't he in this movie? Like, why are we going to put like Moon Knight, or even you could make the case of Captain Marvel, right? I'm not saying for the character, but I'm saying like if you're looking at success wise, it's kind of strange. So I'm kind of hoping that that line of except Thor, like I feel like maybe the answer is they want to save him for Secret Wars, but I still feel like same thing as Infinity War to Endgame. You can still have multiple characters. Like I don't think you have to. Okay, like they did that, but it's just like, hey, you only have Thor in one. So I don't know. I'm just, I will still be surprised if we get an Avengers lineup and Hemsworth isn't on the team, because it just has always felt like a no-brainer to me. But we've just heard rumors that point the exact opposite. But Dylan, what do you think about some of this news of the original plans for Avengers 5?
Yeah, I mean, originally I was just a bit confused. I don't understand how you have a Kang movie that isn't multiversal, but you know, after thinking on it more, after we talked, I guess I just take that to mean that in terms of the hero side, the good side, we're just dealing with 616 characters that have been established, and with a focus maybe then on the ones who have been recently introduced in these new movies that haven't had an opportunity for a sequel yet, or haven't been in too many different projects at this point. And then, yeah, just the villain would be all these different Kangs, and you can do whatever you want with that to match the power level that you have on the hero side. But yeah, but then the Thor part of it is a weird little wrench to include there, because then it makes me think like, okay, was it gonna be every other character that we have established right now with the exception of him? So you still have Hulk, you still have She-Hulk in there. Like, does that mean Hawkeye's in there because he's still alive and kicking? Like
maybe Kate.
He was in a project in this saga, so
yeah.
Does that mean he's in there? Like,
maybe Kate instead. She gets the call, I guess, even though she's in Young Avengers, I guess, right? But it's like if it was the lead, like same thing, like you said. I don't think you could have every lead. In there.
It just like it's not that means it's not that's definitive or anything, but it is weird to strictly call out Thor. So the only reason I can think of that is that Hemsworth isn't in on doing the character. Like, has he talked in interviews recently if he plans on 10 more years of Thor? Has he expressed interest or disinterest after Love and Thunder?
At one point, he was like, I'll do it forever. And then lately, it hasn't been like, I don't want to do it, because he had like that kind of health scare about the dementia stuff where he said he wants to maybe end his career a bit more earlier so he can kind of just hang out. But he still has talked many times about like doing Thor 5. So I don't think I feel like if he gets a pitch and a check, he's there. I don't think it's like they're really having to pull him. So it's like, I feel like you can get him there, or maybe that's it. Maybe the check would just be too big to justify him being an Avengers, right? It's like, well, we paid him this amount and now we have all these new characters. Should we really bring him in? We're bringing in Toby, we're bringing Hugh.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the other thing, would just be that if they're trying to do it from a strictly pacing perspective of you want to have that Captain Marvel moment where she comes in and saves the day or has a big impact, you bring in this character. And so maybe that's even was part of the plan, was to have Kang Dynasty and then another Thor movie, and then Secret Wars, and that's where he's not in that, not because they don't want him on the team, but because they want him to come in there for part 2. Even though we're gonna have, if it is Secret Wars, we're bringing in Toby and all these other Marvel characters from time past. You still want some MCU hype characters to join in there. So I guess that would be maybe my leading theory, but it is still weird to just only say that about him, and because I feel like Hawkeye or Hulk would be other good examples of that, where maybe you don't want them in Kang Dynasty because you really want it to focus on these new characters, but then you can have them pop off in Secret Wars because that's going to have every character that's ever appeared in a Marvel movie.
What about you, Taylor?
I mean, you want your newly established characters to have time to shine, and it's tough because when you put these OG characters in there, they're going to pull the spotlight. It's the same thing, like, you put Luke Skywalker in Force Awakens right away, people are going to not be looking over at Rey and Finn as much. They're going to be looking at Luke Skywalker. So you got to make sure you're playing this carefully, because, I mean, if I see Hulk, if I see Hawkeye, I see Thor, I'm thinking, here's my Avengers team. They're back, and I'm going to be more excited for them than I am over your Miss Marvel, your Kate Bishop and stuff. And I'm not saying that everyone's going to be like that. I'm sure other people are going to be happy to see them represented too on the big screen. But
I
I'd
mean,
like
I'm
to
max
see them.
hype on Kate Bishop. That would be
Yeah,
That would be
like
my
I'd like
big
to see
moment.
them take point over these other characters. But it's tricky how they would I guess pull that off. Because they all fit in that roster, and then you see except Thor, but then I don't know. It's
But
like
you're
Thor,
somebody like unlike us, like you loved Quicksilver and Age of Ultron, right? And he jumped in there with the original members. So can't you like if you have a team of half originals, half newbies, as long as you like give them enough equal screen time, you could maybe fall in love with the new set of Avengers, even though Thor and Hulk's there.
That's true, and it's you're not wrong. I have nothing to really argue with that, except for the fact that maybe it's just like the way their story was told. Well, no, I don't know. I liked getting Wanda and Quicksilver in that story because the way that it was explained and their transition from being bad to good, whereas these other characters we've already grown used to them. And I mean, if you put let's say Miss Marvel next to Hulk, next to Hawkeye, next to Spider-Man, next to Doctor Strange, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like there's America Chavez as well? Like, do you feel like you're gonna be able to hone in on them?
Amon, yes. I think you could put her in a lineup and she's going to fit right in. I think it all just comes down to the writing because America Chavez to me didn't have like a strong enough impression in Doctor Strange, but I didn't think it was a problem with the actress. So I think with Amon, you easily could because that character's very likable, very energetic, stands out, pops a lot, and that's where for me like Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver and both those like they both in that movie don't. They just are very much in the background, and they have a lot of screen time though. It's just that they never feel, I don't know, as valuable. So I think you just have to pick and choose. So I think it is tough, but if you give people reason to care, which is not easy, it's not like a click of the button, but if you focus in and maybe just make sure you give as much attention to her as the others, I think you can make her stand out. You know, it doesn't mean you have to also make her like the top Avenger who saves the day, but
Okay, that's fair.
She's had 2 projects of setup now too, right? Like she's
Yeah.
pretty well
She's pretty
established.
established,
Maybe the
yeah.
quality of those things isn't as high as you would hope for, but she's in there.
So as for them dealing with Kang on a smaller scale, not multiversal, going different realms, that's
It's a puzzle, right?
a puzzle because it's the multiversal saga.
well, I think it would be like this Kang or variants, whatever, but it's like him just trying to take over maybe this specific world, this universe, you know, the MCU 616. So that's maybe why it's small scale, where, you know, maybe in Secret Wars, that's every universe known to man, right? That's why obviously it's a much bigger scale. So maybe that was literally just Avengers versus Kang.
Kang's
Kang
yeah.
or Kangs. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean,
That doesn't sound like too exciting for Taylor, though.
no, like I'm not like I'm not running over hills or mountains for that kind of a story. I was hoping
Running
that they
over.
would be able to, and again, like I don't know all the context of this. I'd be hopeful of having something that was just really playing off of just the multiversal capabilities and just what Kang is capable of doing with the multiverse. And I feel like that would be really cool to see him. That just the multiverse, when you harness that as a weapon, it's just so chaotically powerful, and we've seen it get used in uncontrollable settings, albeit still controllable when you look at a character like America Chavez. But I still feel like that if you have that power and it's refined, like with what the Kangs are doing, and the Kangs have all this super crazy technology, like there's just so many cool different cinematic like bewilderments that you could create with that kind of a character. So I'd be so for it to just maximize that kind of exploration. But if that's not what they're going to do and they're just going to stick to 616, then I mean, that's fine. It keeps it
Still
familiar.
are people in danger, right? Like still Sam in danger.
That's
and
true,
Captain
that's true.
Marvel, Ant-Man. Like you could lose Paul Rudd. You don't want that.
I guess
you
I
know?
just get kind of greedy because I want to see more of the variants, but I mean that's what Deadpool 3 is going to be for. So I
and
shouldn't
Secret
be
Wars.
too
You got that
greedy.
coming up too. And
Yeah.
maybe it's almost like what we were talking about with Spider-Man, where if you just do 2 of those, it'll be too much. But I think that's what they're gonna do. Is they're gonna do 2. But you know, it's kind of like Infinity War versus Endgame. Infinity War had lots of crazy stuff, but it also wasn't going in the past, revisiting MCU set pieces, right? So
That's true. Yeah.
We will see. I'm waiting. I'm excited for Comic-Con or D23 because I still think that's getting delayed and there's going to be there's no filming this year. I don't know. I don't buy that for a second.
Avengers, specifically?
That's the rumor. Is end of the year they're starting to film, and
yeah,
I
no
just
way.
yeah. I don't. That's not happening. They can say as much as they want, but. We'll see. So now we're just gonna get a bunch of random movie news and trailers, some that we like, some that we don't. So stuff we'll just skip and whatnot. Taylor Field, I'm gonna start with you. New Jurassic World movie, written by the original Jurassic Park writer, David Koepp. He's write a lot of other things. I won't say he's like a 50-50, but I was like, there's been some more like iffy stuff in there. But he Jurassic Park. He did write like the last two Indiana Jones, so I like one of those. There's some other stuff. I'll pull it up what he's written, but he's at least the original writer of Jurassic Park. So also I forgot to set up that they're still calling Jurassic World, which I guess because it is a world now, but it's supposed to be a new era and likely a new cast. That's what they're saying there. And he's wrote Jurassic Park. He wrote Mission Impossible. There's a couple other things he wrote back then that were really good. He wrote Zathura, so look at that. He wrote Panic Room. He wrote Jurassic World 2. He wrote Carlito's Way. Death Becomes Her. So lots of stuff there.
He did Jurassic World 2 or the Lost World Jurassic Park 2?
Oh, sorry, Jurassic Park. Yeah.
Okay.
Lost World. Sorry about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I am just flabbergasted at this. I was not expecting to get another Jurassic World film, just a Jurassic film in general. I really thought that they would just sit on it for a long time, and a part of me was just thinking, you know what? If they do anything, it's probably going to be a reboot, or it's going to be something in the next, 5-10 years. I didn't think they were rushing it. I thought that they were
made
just
$1 billion though. Like that's a big movie.
That is, but I felt like it was just going to be on the back burner for a little bit. I was just not expecting this, and lately, I should, in retrospect, not be surprised because we have a game coming out. They're continuing the animated series with Chaos Theory, so even Chaos Theory takes place later on, where they're building towards something with that, and I feel like.
What are they building towards? Taylor?
I don't know. Like there's some things going
when
on.
When does this show take place?
Thing called Chaos Theory.
Yeah, there's gonna be.
I find that it's just like the name of like a Splinter Cell game. They're like, yeah, that sounds like a good subtitle. Let's grab that.
Chaos Theory.
So you have the Jurassic Park Camp Cretaceous, or Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous. So that takes place from the first movie up to Fallen Kingdom.
Look what you did.
So I think this show just takes place around Dominion. Like a little bit after Dominion.
So maybe some Alan Grant in there?
Well, I don't know. The show definitely is a time jump because when the kids were in the Camp Cretaceous, they are like adults now in this show.
Yeah.
So
beards and all,
yeah. So they definitely amped it up. But yeah, I have no idea what to expect with this. I really, really don't. Note that while David did write that first one, and people praise him for that. By all means, praise him for that. That first one is just mint. He definitely wrote that with Michael Crichton.
It's adapted. It's not. It wasn't an original idea.
Yeah. And when you look at the source material that you can pull from this, I don't know really what's left because Fallen Kingdom had some things in there that pulled from the second book, and Jurassic Park 3 had some things inspired between both books. And the first one, I mean, that's the first book, and the second one, that's the second book. So they've really picked apart those two novels to a fairly in-depth degree, and so I'm really curious, what are they going to do now? Yeah, it's a new era is what they're going to be tackling. I know there's been in the Jurassic Park groups and stuff, people have been I don't know if it's Kickstarter, supporting, hey, we want to do a John Hammond prequel movie or something like that. So people have been pitching. I'm I don't have any support for this. I don't want to see this. But that's what the groups have all been rambling about lately.
Who would make a good John Hammond, Taylor? You made me think on that when me and Dylan were talking, but who'd you cast if they're Taylor, you got to make a John Hammond prequel movie?
Who would I cast?
Who's the next Richard Attenborough?
It'd have to be a young John Hammond, maybe a Jude Law or something like that. Might go to
Jude Law with you.
Always Jude Law, yeah. But
I thought you were saying a young John Hamm. So it's well, John Hamm can't get younger,
young
but
John
he can
Hammond.
get John Hamm. He is younger than Hammond
young
was.
John Hammond. But Yeah, just in closing, they're saying 2025, which is blowing my mind. All new cast, like
they're rushing that. For
yeah, like they were
sure.
already working on it, which is crazy. So a new cast, I think, is great. Like I said in the Discord, I am OG cast that gets me in there, and then dinosaurs, and then this new cast. I mean, they could bring in whatever familiar faces as they want
Wait, can you
later
explain
on.
that? What? Original cast and dinosaurs and what?
I can't remember exactly how you worded it, Travis, but you said like if you want to sell those tickets, basically, I'm paraphrasing, you'd want to have those familiar faces, those big names to get people back into the theater, right?
And by that, do you mean the original like crew from the 90s, or do you mean like the new eras?
The original crew first. That's
Okay.
my priority. Then dinosaurs would be like the second reason to put me in those seats, and then the third reason would be the newer cast.
So
like Chris
Taylor,
Pratt.
Okay.
just to clarify this, if they did a movie about Alan Grant and Ellie, whatever her last name is, Sandler, right? Sattler. Ellie Sandler. If they were to do a movie about Alan and Ellie, but with no dinosaurs, and then there was a movie beside the same universe but with dinosaurs, new cast, what would you go to? Like it's just like Alan and Ellie like together, getting married, having a good time. Like
You
it's a
gotta have
rom com.
dinos, right? I mean, or else what are we
But
doing?
Dylan, he said he put the original cast above the dinosaurs, so that's why I'm
Well,
questioning.
that's where I
this-
find
is
it weird
this-
the dinos are even in that hierarchy, because that's the setting.
Right, so that's why I'm asking
Is
this
this
question.
a prequel, like a John Hammond prequel, or is this
Sure, but there's no
after?
dinosaurs. There's no. It could be whatever movie you want, but it has to be Ellie and Alan, no dinosaurs.
I'd probably still go with if it's Sam Neill coming back.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, yeah. If it's Sam Neill coming back and it's Laura Dern, then I'm there for it. I am.
So it's like that
You can mark
se-
my words.
It's like that sequence in Thor: Love and Thunder for 5 minutes when it's just Thor and Jane Foster on a bunch of dates. Like that's what the movie is. This Alan and Ellie movie. It's just them on a bunch of dates.
I'd be down for that. I really would, because the whole, like, there's such a good hook of just their character differences in the beginning of Jurassic Park, where you don't have any dinosaurs for that first, beginning act, and
Of
just
course,
the way
yeah, they're great
he's talking
characters.
about dinosaurs to the kid, and just the way they have like chemistry with each other. There's a lot of stuff going on there that I really liked, and that's some of my favorite stuff in Dominion. Is just the way they're talking with each other, and thank God for the extended edition, because you get so much more of that, which is
I
just
still gotta
perfect.
watch that. I gotta give it a go. But okay, that backs up the claim then of new cat or old cast dinosaurs and stuff. I'm always surprised by Taylor's Jurassic takes in general because he says that, but the thing on his Jeep is the Jurassic World logo, so I never understand where you
I mean,
are.
I don't feel like I should really put like a Alan Grant face on my.
No, but you can
my
get Jurassic
personal
Park.
vehicle.
I never understand why it's Jurassic World over Park.
I
on
could
the
do
Jeep.
Jurassic Park, but I did Jurassic World because it's blue and my Jeep is blue, so that was my justification.
All right. Dylan, you didn't see Dominion, did you?
Still not seen Dominion. No.
Extended editions.
So how would
That's
you
your pitch to me. You haven't seen the movie. Let me give you a longer version.
what would it take for you to like get you interested in Jurassic World? Because it sounds like they are maybe ditching Pratt and everything. Maybe Pratt's ditching them. Either way, it sounds like we didn't get a log line of what this movie is, what the plot is, what's happening with the world. If we're gonna get Jurassic Park with Planet of the Apes style, we don't know. But like, is this something of like starting anew with some new characters and a storyline? Will that get you back in, or is this similar to Star Wars where you're like you've had your dinosaur Jurassic fill and you're good until then you got the game coming out, but you like movie wise, it's put behind you.
I honestly don't think it would take a whole lot to get me back in there. I'm like, if we were getting a new writer, I mean a new old writer,
Yeah.
presumably like a new person in the director's seat, new cast. If it's some
Let's
people
hope.
that I'm into, like, boom, I'm in. Like, I like the setting. I like dinosaurs, so I don't think it will take that much. I think I'll be there. I can't remember why I didn't see Dominion. I feel like there was a specific reason, like I was out of town when it came out, or maybe I just didn't care at all. I don't.
Fallen
I don't
Kingdom
remember.
PTSD.
I mean, that was definitely it. Like, I was definitely on a low after that, but
no, you didn't want us to go see it and then not review it again.
yeah, well, don't even get me started on that whole little deal. But, yeah, I'm trying to remember why I skipped out on.
You're probably just out of
Dominion.
town or something. It was middle of summer, so it could have just been like you're looking at cast and be like, "Well, this is a good one to skip," Because I
Yeah,
thought
I
you
guess so.
did.
I don't
You
know.
did a couple of those retros, I think, with us, didn't
I just
you?
did episode 1.
Okay, yeah, maybe you
original.
did. So
Yeah, but no, I'm all in on. I shouldn't say all in on this, but I'm open to it. I don't. I guess I don't have,
all the Dylan's chips are all here.
I mean, only knowing right now, like the writer, that doesn't that's not the whole picture, you know. I want to see the whole picture first. But I think there's a good chance I'll go check this out and join you guys on the review for it. And I mean, I haven't even seen all those original movies. I've seen the second one at some point. There was 3 or 4. I don't even remember the original.
Well, he wrote that second one as well too. So if you like the first 2, there you go. You
I
know,
don't even remember. It's been so long. But I mean, going back to that first one for the retro, like that's a great movie still. So I'm absolutely interested in this. I think it's a good direction after this trilogy, and not just because not because I hated the second one so much, but I think it's a good thing to do, even though it feels kind of too soon what Taylor was saying. But like, yeah, sure, why not do a little, I don't know, new situation here.
I'll ask you this both, and if you don't have anybody you can think of, then I'll come back to you. Who's like the new go-to? Because like Chris Pratt was just blowing up, but still at that point when he got Jurassic World, he was becoming a name. He did Guardians. Who's like your up-and-coming star, or like that male, female, any a sexual orientation? Like who could be the person you're like, man, that should be who leads the dinosaur series now? The new face.
New face of Dino. Would be a good face for that.
Anna de Armas.
I mean, yeah, that's like the classic. I'll always throw her in.
Just throw like
throw like a Sadie Sink in there. Throw like should we get like she's up and comer. Anya Taylor-Joy put her in anything, and it's better for it. Would be a good like male lead. Who's a good up and comer these days? Like not Jacob Elordi. I know you're a big fan of him, but I don't think that he needs to be in this.
Barry Keoghan.
Not Barry either. Let them do the next Emerald Fennel movie. I don't want them touching this.
But no, both. Put them both.
Maybe, what's his name? Austin Abrams. Is that
Austin
his name?
Abrams?
Yeah,
but like
him.
I don't think he's Chris Pratt level though. It has to be someone that's still like relatively famous right now, right? Like who's like
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
No, another Aaron
Too
Johnson.
jacked.
Jacked.
He's too big now, but like a few years ago, I feel like Michael B. Jordan would have been perfect because I feel like he would like just coming off of Black Panther. But I feel like now because he's directing now, he's gonna be like, no, I'm not doing Jurassic Park. But like, I'm just trying to think who's like because I think Chris Pratt was starting to be a likable, bankable. Oh, who's like a likable, bankable star? Oh my god. I feel like I just had somebody I was talking about with Emily that's like has a good age and you're gonna see him around.
Lou. He could be good. He could be good.
Yeah, that's not a bad one.
He's a big right?
I was just it sucks. There's somebody that's just like he's just gonna blow up. Yeah, it wouldn't be a Lordy, but Taylor, you got a
young person.
It was more around like the new generation, and it was still
Stranger Kids person or like a
Stranger Kids
Euphoria person. One of these people.
I don't think it was Euphoria unless it was Elordi, but I don't think so. I'll try to come back to it.
I mean, they'll just like pick Tom Holland, but if they don't, who else?
Tom Hiddleston, do that Kong Skull Island.
He's the young up and comer right now.
Like, what's his name? Austin Butler, maybe? Coming off Elvis? I could see him doing like a big action franchise, maybe.
Yeah.
Something like that. He's a star.
Like a good safe pick.
Yeah, he's like could be actiony and stuff.
I don't really know him yet, so I don't have much of an opinion on him. But
let me look at my letterbox.
I would not
Hollywood,
be opposed to like Glenn Powell. I could see him.
Oh fuck, Taylor! That's
like Chris Pratt 2.0. Yeah,
that's perfect. That's perfect. That's
more buff, more blonde,
and younger. We found him.
Yeah.
That's perfect. It depends. If it is that we just want like a replica but someone different, that's Glenn Powell. If you want to go a different route, then no, because like Dylan says, that is him 2.0. But that is a good one actually. If you're just looking to kind of rinse and repeat a good action charismatic lead, that is a good one.
This one I might be going backwards. But what about Robert Aramayo? Played
you want to throw a screenshot of that?
Elrond, Rings of Power.
Oh no, I don't think so. Okay, yeah. No one knows who that is.
How about who's the other guy in Top Gun Maverick?
Miles Teller.
Miles Teller.
Yeah, like I could see that. If wants a nice paycheck or something. What about I don't think you do. What about like Alden Ehrenreich? He's coming off Oppenheimer and Fair Play.
He's coming off Fair Play, all right. Yeah, get him in there. Yes, I'd be down for that.
Oh, who else we got? Yeah, I think that's about it. John David Washington. I could see he's not on a franchise yet, right? I could see him making a jump.
I'm sure he can be more fun. I feel like the movies I've seen him in, he's not necessarily a fun. I feel like they want someone fun.
Yeah. Is this not his time to be fun? Maybe, you know.
I mean, I'm sure he's got it in him. I just have only seen him in a couple things, so I think that I would like to see that.
Okay, we got some options up there. Discord people. What about
What about Penn Badgley?
No, not Penn Badgley.
I'm kind of open to it.
Taylor just wants to make a fucking thumbnail of him and the raptor in the library.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's what he wants to do. There's two other ones too. Like he's not to that level yet, but that guy that was in Hunger Games who played like the young Aldous Snow, I feel like give him a couple more years, maybe he could like his
Eminem.
Yeah, E-Mine. He doesn't look like that in real life. Here's a good one. What about Adam Driver?
I thought about that. I wouldn't be opposed to it.
He can
Well,
get
making a
angry.
65 joke, you know, because he just did that, right?
Oh, right.
Another
yeah.
forgettable movie.
Yeah, I guess I didn't say I'm in. I think I'm not like Taylor where I thought this was a given. It's made $1 billion. That was making $1 billion like just after COVID. That did bring back the original cast, true, but those movies all were successful. People like dinosaurs, and I think they've been smart in their releases that they haven't like hit the oversaturation point. They're not like cranking them out, because let me just get the dates on all of them. But I feel like there was like at least like, okay, Jurassic World 2015, and then the next one's 2018, so 3 years, and then the next one is 2022, 4 years. So like, to me, 3 years, that's a good barometer, you know, like that's what Nolan was doing with Batman, whereas every 3 years you got a Batman movie, and I feel like
I guess the 2025 makes sense then if they're going for
it
that
does.
3-year period.
Yeah. So, and I think there's some good, like, kind of new stank on it in a good way, or I shouldn't say stank, but good juice. I'll say juice. Stank's a bad thing. Some good juice if you can get the right stars, because I do think you need stars or people that they like. I will be curious to see if it ever comes out, if the new cast was a Universal choice or a Bryce Dallas Howard, Chris Pratt choice, because I do feel like this generation of Jurassic people like that cast. I feel like everyone likes Howard and most people like Pratt. So I just feel like if they're still young and wanting to do it and the money's there, all these movies were almost like two of them were $1 billion, and then what was Fallen Kingdom? Like they were big hits. So I was just surprised when I always thought they'd be coming back. I'm fine with a new era because, like I said, my pitch is, oh yeah, that made $1 billion. So all these movies made $1 billion. I don't need the dinosaurs to talk, but like I said, my pitch has always been Planet of the Apes with dinosaurs, where everything goes back to like we lose technology, building power, and it's like imagine 2030, we have no Wi-Fi, no electronics, and now there's just dinosaurs running around. Like I think there's great stuff to that, and I feel like you have to go that direction, because like another way where I push back on Taylor, I just don't think you can reboot, because I think you can't redo Jurassic Park. You just can't. Like it's just like it's one of those where I'm not saying when everyone's like you can't remake Lord of the Rings, like you definitely can, and I'm not saying that you can't do Jurassic Park, but I just feel like it's one of those kind of like Back to the Future. There's a few movies, Godfather, where I'm just like, there's nothing to do here. Lord of the Rings, and I know maybe Taylor, you've read the book. Like in Jurassic Park, the movie, is there like a bunch of missing book stuff that you could do in the first book that you could do in a movie? Like, I guess that's the only pitch. But to me, it's just like when Jurassic Park is considered by like many to be like one of, if not the craziest movie of all time, that's like walking on fucking lava. So I just feel like you always have to move forward or adjacent. You can never go back to we're recasting these characters starting over, because I think that is a disaster. Where Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, I'm like, oh, I can see a TV show. I can see this spinoff. Jurassic Park, a remake, I don't think that's an option. So I'm excited to see this, but I'm more excited that there's a different writer, and I hope Colin Trevorrow stays as far away as possible from these movies. But Tim, my question was, in the books, is there a bunch of stuff in the first movie they like jumped over?
Oh, I mean they really changed things up. I mean, the first book had two T-Rexes. There is a scene where they're going down, like Alan Grant and the kids are going down a river, and the T-Rex is swimming behind them, tailing them. It's fucking terrifying. Yeah, John Hammond dies in the first one I said.
So Kyle in our Discord, a listener, not Kyle Smith, says John Boyega. Would that be somebody? We're going to talk about him later, but I don't think he'd do it. I don't think he'd do... I'm surprised he's doing Book of Eli, but I think he wouldn't do another bigger franchise like that yet.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I like him as a lead because he can be fun, but I just don't think he would do it. But
yeah, I mean, I don't know him. I don't think he would do it necessarily, but I mean, money talks, man. Money talks.
It does, yeah. All right, there you go. Jurassic World. We'll see what happens. There's two little projects here. We quick fire them. Michael B. Jordan, Ryan Coogler Ryan Coogler's directing a movie. It's going to be a vampire period piece movie starring Michael B. Jordan. We don't know which studio yet. They're shopping around. There's like a bidding war right now. So one, I want to just get your guys' excitement, and two, I just want to throw out the general question of like, do we think Coogler ever comes back to Black Panther 3? And then also there is a Book of Eli prequel show starring John Boyega, the previously mentioned. So Taylor, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on those two things?
Oh, well, I mean, for me, Book of Eli, I remember seeing that in the theaters. That was really, really exciting to just get the news that we're doing a prequel, and very unexpected. I was not prepped for that. I would be curious. And I need more context too of like how far back are we going? Because it looks
whatever age Denzel is, and then John Boyega. Like I think it's like a good easily 20 years we're going back. I'd say.
I think that's going to be really cool to see just the world kind of falling apart and just the motivations that this character has leading to him like, when he becomes blind and all that kind of stuff. I just remember that jaw-dropping this when Gary Oldman gets that Bible and he's just like it's in Braille or he can't read it. He's like freaking out. Oh.
Just big spoiler for the movie. That's okay.
Well, the movie's been out, what, like 20 years now?
5.
Book of Eli did not come out 5 years ago. Christ.
I thought I could sell them there.
Yeah, so I'm all for it. I think that's got a lot of
2010.
2010. Holy shit.
You were a wee lad back then.
Yeah, I was in high school. Oh, so I think that's gonna be a good time.
Were you in high school?
Yeah, I was in grade 10 at the time.
Okay. I just graduated in 2011. I just thought you had a few more years younger than me, so I was like, that doesn't track, but I guess it does. So.
No, because you're in the big 3-0s now, aren't you?
No.
No.
Yes, I I'm in 130, the 30. I haven't gone past it, but yeah, I am. Yeah.
And as for he's doing a vampire piece.
Who's doing
Coogler? Ryan Coogler.
Yeah, Ryan Coogler, who directed Creed, Fruitvale Station, and the last Black Panther movies. He is directing a period piece with vampires starring Michael B. Jordan.
So, forgive me because I'm coming off as an idiot here. What does that mean, period piece? Like a certain time setting?
Yes, like probably older, like in maybe Victorian era or something like that.
Okay.
Something very distinct, unlike our time period.
Okay, I like that idea a lot. I'm always down for a new vampire addition to the genre, just to kind of see someone else's take on it. Yeah, that's interesting. And I haven't seen any of the Creeds yet, and I need to because I really want to just kind of enjoy that cinema. But for him to be tackling a period piece with vampires, I think that there's. Yeah, I'm excited to see it. Is it going to be like kind of like a Dracula classic kind of story, or is it going to be something more low key? And
I don't know.
I've never seen Interview with a Vampire, and I feel like it could be something kind of like
great
that.
movie,
Is that
yeah.
Dracula oriented?
Well, it's vampire oriented. It's not Dracula. Like Lestat is. There's other vampires in it, but again, they didn't say this was Dracula. They just said vampire. So you don't need the big D in there.
The big D.
Yeah.
Okay.
And do you think that this is him moving on, or you think he'll find his way back to Marvel?
Ooh, I mean, you can't wait around forever. You got to go and pave your way and make your own life and whatnot. So I'm sure if he gets the call, he might answer it. But
He might. Well, I think. Why is Ryan Coogler not directing this movie? Well, we called him, and he simply never picked up. He ghosted us. I don't think that's ever going to happen. I think he would just say no, but the fact that he would just put Feige on straight to voicemail. Oh man, that's a cocky son of a bitch right there. Just like, hey, watch this. Kevin's calling again. You know.
He needs Feige to figure out his Sony shit first before he can come calling. That's what he said.
What's going on that Spider-Man movie? No, I'm not directing Black Panther.
Call me when you figure it out.
Yeah. Until I know if Andrew and Tobey are coming back, I'm not in. Dylan, same 3 variations.
Yeah, I mean, Book of Eli, I absolutely know nothing about.
Perfect.
So I'll just skip that one.
Taylor spoiled the twist for you. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, it it was so wild what you said that it has like no meaning. Even. How much is the good
It actually
testifying?
does. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
I don't know what the
it.
setting is. Like I don't know anything about it. So I'll watch it when we're doing the 1 episode retro leading up to the prequel or something. But
Oh,
as
boy.
for the Ryan Coogler situation, I think that sounds like a fun movie. I'm into that. I mean, without seeing like a trailer or images or anything, my hype level can't get too high, but I'd say that's like solid 8 or 9 out of 10 in terms of hype level. That sounds like a really great pairing. And I was just looking at Ryan Coogler's like previous movies. Of course, I've only seen Black Panther 1 and 2. I haven't seen Creed, and then even like his first full movie looked like also had Michael B. Jordan in it. So those two
Fruitvale
are just,
Station is amazing. Yeah, it's really
Should I
good.
go back and watch that? It's good.
Maybe one day. It's similar to Creed where it's about fighting and stuff like that. But it's cool to see both of them. At, like that's the first movie Jordan ever stars in, and that's Coogler's
wow,
first movie.
that's
So it was
Those
like
two are connected at the hip for sure.
yeah, it was very much like who are these guys? And then that's why they got Creed right after, and then Panther. So it was like a kind of star making movie.
Yeah. So no, I mean even just the prospect of seeing a Ryan Coogler movie other than Black Panther is exciting for me, which obviously there's still a couple I can go back and check out right now, but I'm open to that. I think it's cool. And yeah, I mean, I don't think this makes it so he's not part of Black Panther moving forward. I'm sure Marvel would be happy to bring him back. It would be more a question if he wants to do it, and maybe he just
gonna
wants to
ghost
take a
him.
break.
Yep.
What's that?
If he's gonna ghost them or not.
Yeah, just leave him on red there. But I'm sure like maybe he just wants to go work on something else for a bit and then come back. And I definitely want to see another Black Panther movie from him as well because I love that first one. I was pretty negative on the second one, but I also think that's mostly because of just the circumstances. They were given really tough circumstances to make that movie under, and to me they didn't live up to it. But I think now there would be set up for maybe a better foundation for that. So I definitely want to see, and also I just like the idea of a nice round trilogy for MCU characters and for like directors, writers, whatever working on these things too. So I hope he gets to do that or wants to do that. But I'm also down if he wants to go do these other weirder movies. I'm open for that too.
Yeah, because in the MCU, we only got Gunn and Reed that finished the trilogies. All the rest of them are a bunch of mishmash of people, right? Like Favreau didn't, Taika obviously didn't do the first two. Avengers are all... Oh, and John Watts, sorry, I'll take that back. John Watts did as well, I guess. But it's kind of a
Ant-Man?
partner with him and
Was
Sony.
that same?
Yeah, Payne Reed. Yeah, Payne Reed
Yeah,
did that.
right.
So yeah, they got 3. So there's a couple there, but yeah, I'm excited for them to be getting back together. I've seen this cast already, and then multiples that I love all those projects they've done on. So that's good. I think my point of view with him coming back or not coming back is I just wonder. It's tough because Black Panther is a name. That movie made $800 million, and so it's one of their successes. But I also just wonder, like, where is the Black Panther 3 just in the cards of it all? Like, same thing before. It'd be different if I knew Shuri was a member of the Avengers, but I don't. I'm assuming she is. But so, and we also talk about how like Avengers Marvel is maybe going to change some stuff. And I'm just very curious if by the time we get to Secret Wars, if they decide to revamp Black Panther, and I do think they bring back a new T'Challa, and is that something Coogler would want to do of like, well, like that was kind of my cast of characters. Like, would you want to?
Well, he's still producer on Eyes of Wakanda, right? So
Yeah.
So he's
And there's
still
that
kinda
rumored
in
other
that
show, too.
field anyway. So maybe that's giving him his Black Panther fix, and he's like, I don't need to do movie 2 if I'm kind of in the weeds on these other projects.
Yeah. And we don't know if it's still happening, but there was a rumor of that Okoye, like Midnight Angels show. So if there is something live action, maybe there too, he could direct maybe an episode. I don't know if he'd do that, but so yeah, I think for me, it's one of those things where it's not so much that I don't think he would turn down the call. I'm very excited he's doing something else because I always loved the Nolan method of he does one, then a Batman. He does one, then a Batman. I always thought it was like a good way to keep yourself fresh. That's what I always worry about James Gunn, who's been directing comic book stuff since 2014. Of just like it's been Guardians 2,
now he's
Guardians
locked
3,
in,
Suicide Squad, Superman Legacy. It's just like I really like James Gunn as stuff before, so it's like I'd love to see something else. And now it's like we won't see that till he gets fired. I think, like if he were to get fired, right? Like Peacemaker, and I'm not wanting him to get fired. I'm just saying he's the president of DC. I don't think he's gonna have time to be like, I'm just gonna go make this independent vampire movie, you know. So I'm excited to see Coogler do that, and then Book of Eli. I liked the movie. I remember it came out in my middle school. I'm just very surprised because I remember I liked it, but I didn't like it as much as everybody else. And I just was like, okay, I feel like let down by it. And it's odd because like the budget, 80 million, box office 157. And I feel like it has been a movie that has grown over time. People have seen it, but it just felt like one odd for Boyega because I feel like he's just been doing more movies of late. So I know TV shows and actors like they do them all the time now, but I just felt like he was kind of staying in that film lane and just feels like an odd IP in general of just doing more Book of Eli. I agree with you that there is stuff to do there. It's just more for me of like, I don't know. I'm sure somebody was like Taylor's asked for, right? I'm sure if they walked up to Taylor, hey, would you want a Book of Eli show? He says yes. But I just mean like, who in the room was like, you know what we gotta do? Book of Eli TV show. Like this 14 years later, that's where I am. Maybe if it was earlier, but it just seems like a long time. But maybe there's just a good pitch, or maybe it's one of those things where someone had a really good script, but they didn't want to make an original IP. So they're like, what is this kind of like? Well, it's like Book of Eli. Well, what if we did the TV show? Like that happens all the time in movies and TV shows where there's a script similar and they just combine the two things, right? And change a few things. So we'll see. I don't know. Like if Taylor and the fans really want us to do a retro, we would. I don't know if I'd be checking out the show because I just don't like, you know, I'll have to ask Kirkland. He seems like he's like he could be like, oh, I fucking love the Book of Eli, but it's not like I don't think that's on
Randomly one of those movies that he watches 5 times a year.
Yeah.
Once in a while, one of those pops up for him.
Just keep seeing a letterbox like Barbarian where he'll just watch it like every 5 weeks. You're like, why do you keep watching this movie? You know. So let's take our last ad break and then we'll just talk about some trailers. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So let's talk about these trailers. Taylor, you're going to talk about Bad Batch because Dylan or I have not seen this. Dylan, I don't think Dylan, you didn't watch it, right?
The trailer?
Yeah.
I watched half the trailer and then I was like, I don't get this. It's not for me.
Yeah.
I
should have specified. Yeah. I should have specified season 3.
To see, and I was like, okay, I'm not in the weeds enough with this stuff for this to have any meaning.
And for me, I didn't watch it, Taylor, not because I'm like, oh, you know, just give you the workload, just because I have not seen season 2. I have not committed. Taylor says that he will at least be doing solo reviews, so I've not committed to be on the reviews. We'll see. I did not get through season 1 of Bad Batch. I know Taylor and other people do say it gets better, but I also heard that with Clone Wars, and it gets better to like a degree. There's definitely some great Star Wars in there, but I never thought it was like always great. So I work at home, so I'll maybe try to catch up now and see if I'm invested. Ventress being back, that's really cool. I'm happy they've answered some canon stuff, but Taylor, as the person that has seen it, was this again your juice flowing?
This is getting my juice flowing. Someone located the fact that the finale episode is the same name as when the Bad Batch were first introduced in the Clone Wars season. So
nice.
Yeah, very, very nice.
Big news. yeah, you sold me.
Getting to see more of what Sidious is up to in this season with Wayland and just his cloning program and whatnot. I'm really stoked to just kind of explore that, just to see a whole array of familiar characters. Fennec is coming back, and Cad Bane's in here
Ray's
too.
In this, you
and
said?
What's that?
Never mind.
Yeah, so I'm just stoked. This is the last hurrah for our characters, and after certain character deaths that they did in the last season, it definitely makes me feel like no one is safe this go around. And there's just certain characters that really just command your attention on screen, and so I feel like we're just gonna get a whole plethora of surprises. So many episodes in this final season, and I really cannot wait. I'm glad and I'm surprised that they really did address it as hard as they did when they're like, yeah, no, Ventress is back, and it's going to work with the established narrative. That's pretty crazy that they're acknowledging it, because Travis, you were dropping canon doesn't matter, but they're just countering you now with this.
Well, it has not mattered many times, as we've seen. Even like Bad Batch broke that in its first season. So,
well, they're turning a new leaf here, though. I mean, maybe it does matter all along.
Yeah, what happened was, Dylan, that there was a character that died off, but then this character was appearing in this show, but it was past the point they died off. So everyone was like, "Are we just ignoring this character died off?" But they're like, "No, don't worry." And I think they did that just because in the past few years they are getting lots of shit for they've kind of broken or smudged the numbers. But yeah, great character. I'm glad she's back. They should never killed her off in a fucking book. She was primarily an animated character. Never made any sense to me why she just died in some book. I get it, was she was the co-lead of the book, but like that never tracked to me why you would take out that character, especially a character that's like a fan favorite. So yeah. The Last Airbender. So Taylor, again, I'll let you start off with this because you and Kirkland are gonna. I don't know about Dylan. I'm definitely not, and I'm sorry. This one I also just forgot to watch the trailer. This one, as I saw the notes here, I'm like, shit, I forgot to. But I don't have much to add because I just from what I was saying before, it just doesn't seem like it's anime adjacent, not really interesting. But at least I know you and Kirkland say you're gonna review it. It's Netflix next month. It is binge model, so it'll be kind of like a review when they're done, sort of thing. It won't be, obviously the weekly release and stuff like that. But is this lower or heightened? I forgot what the word was. What? Talk about the trailer. Talk about do lower or higher expectations. Where are you? You're a month away. I'll get the official date in a second.
I am so stoked for this. Now it's been a long time because when I first got into The Last Airbender, I got into it hard, and I binged through it and watched through it, and I was just so into that world. I really, really loved it and everything that they were establishing. And it was so long, and finally, like, Legends of Korra came out. I got through that. I was okay, but I'm definitely more into Airbender story. I didn't. There were things in the movie that I enjoyed seeing in live action, but the movie was not great. It did not do justice to what that animated show was. That animated show just set the bar so high. So in comes this, and it's like, wow. I've been wanting to get back into a full rewatch, and I've rewatched a few months ago. Not a few months ago, sorry, more like a year ago. I tried getting in and getting back and doing a full watch through of Avatar again, and I just got distracted with other things going on, but I tried to get as far in as I could. It was just, I missed that world so much.
How far you get?
I think I got halfway through the first book or season, I guess you'd call it. But
that's it.
Yeah, I know.
Did it not have the same magic? You're saying you're busy, but to me, I feel like maybe it just didn't hit the same as it once did.
Oh no, it hit. But I mean, when I went through the first time, I didn't have my lovely wife with me.
Season.
And
I was gonna say Madison doesn't like it, right? That's what it is. Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay.
Turn that shit off. I'll go rip all those posters out again.
There you go. Yeah, rip my posters down. But it's still just it's a wonderful story. Lots of good meanings. And so this, I feel like, okay, now I'm going to be putting this on. This is going to be good. Some people, just got to sit through it and enjoy it because this is good shit. And I feel like they're going to be tackling so many things and so many beats from the animated series that people want. And I've seen people talk about complainers and angry folk online, but I'm not seeing that. Everyone's just saying that they're loving it. So I'm not sure where the hate's coming from, but the trailer just looked beautiful. It makes me want to jump up and start like moving the elements around, but I can't do that. I'm not
no
a
mass will kick you out.
Yeah. I can't wait.
Dylan, you watch this? You got any excitement for this? Any touchstone to this?
Not really. I mean, it reminds me of when we would talk about trailers for the Percy Jackson thing. It's like, okay, well, this to me seems like it's made for like kids specifically. So it's like if you're a kid, like if I was 10, I think I'd be into it, or people who like love the IP or love that character and world. Then it's for them. It's for either like young kids or people who love that and want more of it. And I'm not either of those things right now. So. Yeah, it wasn't for me. The humor was very like, I don't know, very very like 10-year-old me would have liked it, but now it's like, okay, this isn't that captivating. I thought some of the CGI looked a little whack, but who am I to shit on Airbender? I'm not going to be one of those complainers. It's not for me, so that's where I'll leave it.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear. I hope you guys like it. I hope it. I think it will do, as long as it's semi-quality. I think it'll do well. It has a big fan base, and I know people have been wanting that, so we'll see. Last of the night, something coming to Apple TV. I had thrown this in there because I saw it, and I was like, okay. I got a lot of Apple stuff I just got to catch up on. Even shows that I was watching and I just fell aside. So I got to subscribe. I got to get Silo. I got to watch a bunch of stuff. But again, this is another one where I was like, okay, this looks interesting to me. I like the star. I like both of them, but it was Consultation, right? That's what it was.
Constellation.
Consolation, not Consultation.
Consultation.
That's a sequel. You'd have to watch trailer, but pretty much it's astronaut goes in space, something funky's going up there, comes back to Earth, things don't seem what they are. Is she stuck in space? Is she in her mind? Is there something that happened to the world? I don't know. This is a case where this could be just a very good trailer, but at least even same thing with Monarch. I haven't watched Monarch. Taylor hasn't even watched that, but people say great things about that. So Apple, at least of late, I feel like the stuff that comes out, I hear good things about it. So it feels like kind of like Amazon because they have, they don't got to worry about hitting like a price or budget quota because they got all the money in the world. They can focus on some of the stuff. Like even Naomi Rapace, like not the biggest star, but I'm a big fan of her. So I'm like, okay, great to see her. So I don't know. I know we've seen kind of maybe similar plots like this before of someone going to space and maybe things seeming off. Not exactly, but just the idea of like everyone jumps to, oh, she's probably still stuck in space. And even me knowing that could be the twist, it was the intensity of it. It was the way it was shot, some of the score elements, but that's where I say maybe that could just be the trailer. And I don't know how long the episodes are, the pacing of them, so I'll have to see. But this at least piqued my interest, be like, okay, I'm thinking about checking this out, and like I said, just doing an Apple TV binge. But I really liked this trailer. This was one where there's lots of great TV out there, but then usually something happens where I go, oh, I'll get to it. I'll, eventually. But this was like, okay, maybe day one, this is a right away start, but ask me when I get there. So I really liked this trailer, and I like I said, I like Riposte too. That probably helps as well too, guys. I feel like we just don't. She's in Lost, but we don't. She's never in like too much. Like I'll always take more.
And that's high praise because I feel like, from my perspective, it seems like it takes a lot right now for you to watch a TV show. Like, that's just lower on your priority list at the moment. So that's cool.
That's why I watched The Curse, right? Because Emma Stone was there. So I'm like, oh, because I like Emma Stone, I'll watch that. And then it got me. Yeah, now I'm a Nathan Fielder guy. Yeah.
I love space as a setting. I think this is a cool concept, and there's a bit of a hook there, but I don't think it hooked to me enough to want to watch the show to figure out those mysteries.
That's fair.
So I think where I'm at is, me and Muds, we unsubscribed from Apple TV just because we weren't really...
Because this trailer.
Because this trailer, yeah.
Look at what they're putting out.
We have to go on strike here. No, we just we weren't watching anything on it recently.
Yeah.
We'll probably resubscribe when Severance Season 2 comes out. So maybe when we're doing that, I'll check this out because I do like the setting. And I mean, it would definitely be for me after people have watched it and if they recommend it. And after if you've watched it, Travis, and you think it's worth it because there's a cool.
I'll forget about it when we rank the TV shows next year. You'd be like, did you watch that show Constellation?
Right for forgetting about absolutely, but I can see why you're really into it.
Yeah, Taylor, 2 questions. One, obviously about the show, but 2, did you ever watch that? I can't remember if it was Apple, that Sam Neill alien show.
No, my friend said that they watched it, and Sam Neill was only in the first, or not the first, one episode, and was just very minor. Was not.
Oh,
in it.
okay.
And that was big selling point that they tried to pitch.
They did, yeah. I remember because that was similar to this, where I pitched you because I know you're, Prometheus Shaw fan like us, but just I was like, oh, this seems like it could be up Taylor's alley. But I remember last time I did that was the Alan Grant show, and not Sam Neill, and I never heard back. So okay, he's in one episode. What about this? Is this where is this on the interest levels?
This is up there. I'm very, very intrigued as to what's really going on here. And just when they were alluding to this device that they took into space and just shit kind of going sideways and just the weirdness, she's like, oh, listening. What is she say? Listening to a recording of you, and the girl's like, oh, that's not me, and it's like
that was
what
scary. Yeah, that had me go. Yeah, it's of you and me, and it's like that's not me. It's like, and it sounds exactly like her, and then it's just like, where's my daughter? Like again, we've seen similar stuff like that before, but I think it was just the pacing. I was like, man, hopefully it's not just like a finale thing too, like one of the last few episodes. But that was like a goosebumps giver for me. There, I was like, oh, what's going on?
Yeah, so I'm intrigued. I'm down. There's a few shows on Apple that I need. God, they're really, really just doing great shit. And I feel like they're tackling the weird mental kind of not psychotic, but the weird mental kind of vibes or storylines. There was one that was, I think it was Apple, and I want to say it was Will Ferrell and God. Was it Paul Rudd? He plays a psychiatrist, and he works his way into becoming thinking like his friend, but works his way really into his life where he's controlling him more.
Sounds familiar. I can't remember because I know they have that other show Shrinking with Ford and Siegel, where Ford's a therapist, but I think you're on to something there of Paul Rudd and Will Ferrell doing something on Apple Plus with therapy. That sounds like it's ringing a bell. I hear the fingers.
The Shrink Next Door.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of course, that's the title.
Yeah.
And what's the
That's
synopsis?
on my list. The synopsis, inspired by true events, details the bizarre relationship between psychiatrist and his longtime patient. Give me
Okay.
a real synopsis.
That's fine.
here.
That's fine.
Yeah, there you go.
We don't need to go on a journey. I get it. So there we go. We did it. That's
we
the
go.
newscast. Longer than I thought, but of course a couple rants and stuff like that. So we will be back next week. Next week will be. Just watch the feeds because it depends. Because right now, a good thing for patrons, the feeds are all out of sync. Where there's some stuff that we record, but that comes a week after. Best thing to do is head over to Patreon. There's retros, episodes, stuff like that. But if not, there'll always be someone dropping the regular episode. Travis told you, a side quest. The GeekVerse feed always has something going on. So thank you very much for tuning in. Hope everyone has a good upcoming weekend, and it will not be boring.
Bye-bye.
Bye.